We're proud to bring you this live presentation on Racer TV of the 50th anniversary of the Progressive Grand National Cross Country Series, presented by Specialized, an AMA National Championship. 50 years of world premier off-road racing. 50 years of battling the gnarliest woods racing on the planet. It's time to start a new chapter. The next 50 years starts now.
The FMF Camp Coker Bullet here in Society Hills, South Carolina, a beautiful, picturesque facility. There is fishing, there is swimming, there's zip line, there is something for everybody. Oh yeah, we go racing. We race some GNCC here today. A pivotal round, points championship up for grabs. Pick a name out of the top 10, root for them today, and it all starts right here, right now on RacerTV.com. Are you ready to go GNCC racing? Craig DeLong, Johnny Gerard, mano y mano.
I think if Johnny can maybe send it around the outside like he's trying to do there.
Look at that. That is a full XC1
Is this a NASCAR race?
Absolutely a sensational. When things get tough, look out for Jordan Ashburn.
Racing dirt bikes, it's a lifestyle. It's something where every single choice you make sets you on the path to how you're going to succeed or perform. You live this every second of the day.
Stu hauling the mail.
Stu is one of the most gritty riders out there.
There is Gerard. Johnny Gerard, he has been stellar. Most wins on the season out of anybody.
Johnny Gerard, the champion!
Nick DeFeo also has a 50-some-odd second advantage.
Are you kidding me? T-Rex, the 246. Nick DeFeo, you're going down in the GNCC history books, man.
I just like that. They're like,
Johnny out front, Caleb pushing as hard as he can.
this is everything they have.
That was a battle.
That was a hell of a ride by both of those men. Like he's got a cougar on the back of the bike.
Stu Baylor taking the inaugural Talladega GNCC win.
3 hours is a long time. 3 hours of racing is gnarly. I know I can show up, and I know I can win on any given week.
Well, Johnny, round number 4 of the 2025 season, we are back. We've had a couple of weekends off, but we're here at Camp Coker, now a very familiar facility for us. And this place, I mean, outside of the racing itself, it has something for everyone. If you're at home watching, can't encourage you enough, circle this one on the schedule next year. Be here in person. This facility, fishing, swimming if it's warm enough, or if you're just young and crazy enough and it's still chilly, doesn't matter. Still go swimming. There's a zip line. I mean, this place has it all.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like a golf course that we get to race dirt bikes and ATVs on. It's a truly beautiful facility, like you said. I mean, there's ponds for swimming. It's a very picturesque facility. You just walk around, and it's kind of like being on a nature walk.
Yeah.
And then, a couple times throughout the day, we fire up some combustion fuel burning engines. We go out there and we really rip things up. And this property is nice enough to let us do so for many years now. I love coming here to Camp Coker every year. And not only is it a beautiful facility, but it also seems to really provide some great racing.
Yeah, you made the point yesterday, Johnny, on the four-wheel side about, we think of snowshoe, we think of Palatka, Florida. But this one is up there as far as gnarly tracks. I think we separate the men from the boys today.
Sneaky rough. That is the word that I've come up with for Camp Coker. It's a lot of square edge and it beats you up pretty good. But, man, it's just going to be a continuation of what's already been a very exciting 2025 season.
That's right. We had a new track a few weeks ago. We raced in Talladega, and, Johnny, we talked about it on air, off air. The man who needed to make something happen, if nothing else, a podium, a win would be great, was Stu Baylor, or this season and the championship was going to slip away. He did just that, but he had to fight his way there because some punk kid named Grant Davis of the XC2 led almost that entire race. In fact, did until the last lap where Stu put a charge on. Grant made a few mistakes.
Well, yeah, and it was one of those races where it wasn't just Grant. I mean, the entire XC2 class, or much of it, was up there in the top 3 and top 5 at one point, holding all 3 of the top 3 positions. XC2 was just looking like they were going to make it another round 1 where they were going to just push the XC1 guys off the box. Grant Davis physically leading out front ahead of everyone and running away. Last lap, Grant made a couple poor line choices, got stuck, bike overheated, and to Stu Baylor's credit, you could see the sense of urgency late in that race. He saw an opportunity. His teammate Nick DeFeo having some bike issues, and he started seeing those overall positions come back to him, and he realized Grant Davis was the only rider left in front of him, and he put his head down, put in a charge, and was able to run Grant down, make the pass, and then with Grant's issues was able to take the overall.
A much-needed win, and hey, we've heard our point of view. We want to hear from the man himself. We actually had a chance to catch up with Stu after the win and prior to today's race.
I've won really all the new venues, aside from, I think, going back to like 2018 there at Boy Scout Camp. I led all day until the final mile. So, yeah, overall, it was just a cool feeling. But the inaugural events at other rounds aren't quite like Talladega. I mean, it's Talladega. It's something that we haven't been a part of as far as for dirt bike racing, and I think GNCC kind of merging in to where we see the four wheels race will, I think personally, it'll expand the sport, and I'm stoked to see where it'll go.
Interesting to hear Stu's perspective on that. A man of many words. Always love a good interview with Stu. Another man who needs a former national champion who's still looking for that first win of 2025, but coming off a sensational ride in Talladega, Craig DeLong.
Yeah, I mean, Craig's been in a position where the first part of the season definitely has not gone according to plan. He's been pretty vocal about that.
Yeah.
And in the very, very tough conditions at Talladega, he just was able to come through and get a clutch ride, and I think we got to speak with him about it and hear his thoughts on it.
Good race. That place was, got a lot of rain, and probably one of the worst mud races I've ever done. Pretty close to it anyway. It's just a new venue like that. Woods were really thick and just couldn't get off the track. So to come away with a finish and a good finish and get some good points, that was big for me, and looking forward to turning that into another solid result today.
Well, Johnny, you take a look at the point standings, and Grant Davis sitting atop the points, 56 on the season. Ben Kelly out of the XC1, just behind him. I mean, you look through the top 10 and pick out a guy in that top 10. They all have a realistic shot at this championship still.
Absolutely, and it's almost a 50-50 mix of XC1 and XC2, which I don't think we've ever seen.
No,
at this point in the season or at any point in the season. So it's definitely an interesting dynamic this year, and it's creating some pretty exciting racing.
Cannot wait to see what today holds in store. We take a look at the past winners. Caleb Russell, 16 through 2019, grabbing wins. Now, Strang did get the better of him in 2020. But this man's back. He's had some ups, he's had some downs, but I think this one plays, maybe not favorite, but a contender for a win today. Caleb Russell's got to be one of those guys.
Yeah, I think absolutely. He's obviously, his track record here has proven that this is a track where he does well.
And you come up through the years, Stu grabbing a win in 21. 22 has been Kelly. And then Grant Baylor, the other Baylor, just a solid ride in 23, grabbing a win. And then Dante Oliveira kind of doing part-time, I guess, racing with GNCC last year, picking up the win here in the sand. So no one guy has stood out since the run that Caleb had.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's been a big mix. If you look, we haven't had a repeat champion since then.
Right.
So it's definitely a paradox. There's a lot of riders going fast, a lot of riders up front doing battle. Johnny Gerard, very close to grabbing that win last year, so I think you got to throw his name in the hat for sure here for today. And there's going to be a lot of guys going fast, and I think it's going to provide some great racing action.
It's going to be a good one. We are getting down to the nitty-gritty. You've heard enough from us. We want to see, what is it? What do you call it?
Sneaky rough.
Sneaky rough. I love that. Sneaky rough track today. To get some more details on that, we're going to throw it to our man Jackson Burrell, who stands by with our trail boss, Jared Bolton, for a Yamaha track description.
Thanks, guys. I'm here with the trail boss, Jared Bolton. Jared, we've made it here to round 4. Take us through what we can expect.
Well, fingers crossed. Sun's out, guns out. You know, hopefully it's good and dry for the weekend. Maybe a little bit of dust will never hurt anybody. So, beautiful weekend for a good race.
Well, what if, in the case that the rain does come down, what are you thinking?
Well, the good thing about Camp Cokers, it's pretty sandy here. So this place takes water pretty well. We've learned that over the years. We've stayed on high ground. The early years here when we got rain, we found out pretty quick where the low-lying areas are, and we stayed out of those as much as possible. And if there is a little bit of rain, fingers crossed again that there's not, we'll be just fine. It's sand. Sand takes it really well.
All right, guys, we're good to go either way. Back to you.
All right. Well, thank you, Jackson and Jared, for that track description of this very sneaky Coker GNCC facility. These guys are going to get ready to go out, do battle. We're going to send our man Mikey Waynes down to do some 10-second calls, get this race off and running. Make sure you stay tuned to Racer TV for all the racing action live.
everywhere but the seat. The seat is leather.
Alan, we get it. You love your bike. We do too.
That's why we're America's #1 motorcycle insurer.
But do you have to wedge it into everything?
What? I don't do that. This reminds me of my bike. The Wolf was about the size of my new motorcycle. Have you seen it, by the way? Happy birthday, Grandma!
Really?
Look how the brushstrokes follow the line of the gas tank.
Hey!
Hey! Brought my +1. Jamie.
Progressive GNCC Racing is brought to you by Progressive. Progressive could save you hundreds of dollars on your automobile and motorcycle insurance. Specialized E-Turbo bicycles. It's you, only faster. RockyMountainATVMC.com. Get ready. Welcome to everybody watching at home on RacerTV.com. As you tune in, we are just about ready for our Pro Rider intro. Oh, you're way over yonder. All right. I'm here for it. Griff, you're ready, baby. Let's do it. I got a thumbs up. All right, without further ado, your starting rows for the XC1 Pro class, riding to the line in accordance to points. Rolling to the line first, the 530 out of Connecticut on the FMF Factory Racing KTM, Ben Kelly. Rolling to the line next, the number 8 out of North Carolina, riding aboard the Phoenix Racing Honda, Mike Wachowski. And rolling to the line next, the 557 out of Boonville, North Carolina, riding aboard the Ampro Yamaha. Say hello to Caleb Russell. Up next, your defending champion, the number 1 out of Boonville, North Carolina, on the FMF Factory Racing KTM, Johnny Gerard. Up next, the 514 out of Hodges, South Carolina, on the Rocky Mountain Red Bear Racing Team Green Kawasaki. Say hello to Stu Baylor. Up next, the 178, a rider out of Australia on the Palmer Motorsports On the Pipe podcast, and Troy Lee Designs back Husqvarna, Lyndon Snodgrass. Up next, the 342 out of Waynesburg, Pennsylvania, riding aboard the Rockstar Energy Factory Racing Husqvarna, Craig DeLong. Up next, the 198, riding aboard the Ampro Yamaha, Liam Draper. Up next, the 212 out of Duval, Washington, riding aboard the Enduro Engineering Triumph, rough and rowdy Ricky Russell. Up next, the number 7 out of Denver, North Carolina, riding aboard the Liqui-Moly Factory Beta Racing Ride, Josh Strang. Up next, we say hello and a big welcome here in 2025 to the 347 out of Jefferson, Georgia, riding aboard the Ampro Yamaha, Evan Smith. Up next, the 336 out of Elkin, North Carolina, on a Bicon Services JDP and Moose Off-Road backed Honda, Ryder Lafferty. Up next, the 989 out of Williamstown, West by God, Virginia, on the Racecraft Racing Team backed KTM, Bad Thad Duval. And And last but certainly not least, hello to the 707 out of Parkersburg, West by God, Virginia, riding aboard the Yamaha, Jason Liscomb. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is your starting row for this, the FMF Camp Coker Bullet GNCC. And as our XC1 riders take their position on row number 1, this is where DJ Judd will exit the mobile entertainment activation transport, jump into the Yamaha R Max 1000, throws on the 50th anniversary gold sparkle helmet, straps it down, safety first, and this is where we like to say, DJ Judd, remove the meat. As DJ Judd makes his way off of the starting line, all eyes will fixate down into turn number 1, where the maestro Ricky Towery will take the reins of this race, and we go as Ricky goes. Just a reminder, all our spectators must be behind that white stringer line. Everything looks good out there, folks. Thank you for that. And now, all eyes will begin to fixate down into turn number 1 as Ricky continues to listen to the radio chatter and waits on that okay, safe to race. Round number 4 of the 2025 season. We had a couple of weekends off, but we're back at it, baby. Ricky Towery now steps out onto the track and he lets our riders know 1 minute. 1 minute until we're ready to go. FMF Camp Coker Bullet GNCC Racing as Ricky now steps back. He will look down at his watch, take a big, deep breath. And there it is. Blue flag waves, blue flag waves. Shut them down, shut them down, shut them down. As we are just about ready to roll now for the FMF Camp Coker Bullet GNCC. And I got to ask you, South Carolina, are you ready to go GNCC racing? Oh, that's pretty good, but my God, this is 50 years of racing GNCC. You got to get loud and proud to be a part of history. I'm going to ask you one more time. Are you ready to go GNCC racing? 10 seconds for row number 1, the XC1 Pro. Bang, and we're off. Craig DeLong with a good drive right up the gut. That's a 3-4-2 Rockstar Energy Husqvarna. Caleb Russell in tow, but no, it will go to the 3-4-2. And how's this for a throwback? Thad Duvall and Caleb Russell side by side. Evan Smith in the 707 of Jason Liscomb having some trouble in turn number 1. We turn our attention now to row number 2, the XC2 250 Pro Class. XC1 with a whole shot award courtesy of Landers KTM, and the XC2 250 Pro Class, another whole shot award on the line courtesy of Landers KTM. As the blue flag waves, we get them shut down, and we are just about ready to roll with the XC2 250 Pro Class. Angus Reardon, Mason Simmons, Zachary Davidson. 10 seconds. Josh Toth, Toby Cleveland, Jason Tino, Brody Johnson, T-Rex Nick DeFeo, Hunter Bush, Jesse Ansley, Mike DeLosa, Dakota DeVore, Jack Walker, Kenneth Held, Leighton Small, Grant Davis, Jonathan Johnson, and Cody Barnes. 2-1-3. He is a whole shot machine. That's Toby Cleveland out of Aaron, New York on that Bell's Electric Beaver Creek Cycles backed Husqvarna, grabbing that whole shot and early lead, but under fire. Looking forward to seeing how it plays out. XC3, 10 seconds. XC3 125 Pro-Am. James Simpson, Tyler Shields, Isaiah Brown, Rayleigh Messer, James Jenkins, Huck Jenkins, Luke Brown, and Jason Crawford. Into the first turn we go. Landers KTM whole shot award up for grabs. A 337 on the machine. It's a 337 on the helmet. That's James Jenkins out of House Springs, Missouri, on that JDP suspension back ride. Getting it done early. 250A. 10 seconds. Van Adams, Colton Shields, Cooper Jones, Ryan Piper, Gavin Simon, Chase Landers, Collier Martinez, Will Steven Piper, Caleb Baltimore, Gavin Hampton, Trevor Goetz, Lane Whitmer, Trevor Maley, Hunter Smith, and Joe Cunningham. Whole shot. Oh, stole his lunch money right there. Man, could not catch that helmet sticker. I think that was Whitmer, if I'm not mistaken. That might have been Lane Whitmer making the grown man move to make the pass. Open A. 10 seconds. Samuel Evans, Keaton Coleman, Kiefer Galliano, TJ Brown, Austin Hovatter, Ty Ely, Dylan T. De La Cruz, Trevor Hewlin, Caleb Slagle, Sean Myers Jr., Zach Tussle, Mac Reimer, Zach Hayes, Cole Whitmer, Keenan Rupp. Whole shot. That's going to go to the 5-1-8 of Cole Whitmer on that Moose Racing and Maxxis back ride. Getting it done early. We reset the deck. 4-stroke A lights. 10 seconds. Joshua Connor, Jacob McPherson, welcome back. Meatball, Logan Pellegrini, Brady Beerbaum, Ryan Amancio, Bryce Woodrum, Braden Baisley, Tucker Kenry, Rivers Morris, Ty Atkinson, Keegan Needler, Lane Smith, Wyatt DeRose, Timmy DeRose, Caleb Wood, Mason Rayner, Brody Amos. Mercy sakes. Was that the 708 Austin Sakanikis with a big league early and a huge pileup in the first turn on that outside line where the sand gets deep. And I think everybody's okay, just a matter of getting the machines back up on two wheels. Look at that, Griff Cotter down in turn one picking up tires. Mercy sakes. That's a grown man right there. 3-3-1 trying to get her fired up. Wait on that signal from Ricky Towery. He said, here we go. 10 seconds. 150A. Michael Meyer, Lucas Rubenstein, Colby Goodman, Jack Whalen, Daniel Ryan, Luke Newton, Ryder Segedy, Bodie Wallner, Cade Stats, Daniel Starnes, Caleb Lane, Easton Uplinger, Arson Bogner, Braden Hashman, and Caleb Johnson. The 31 out in front. That's going to be, ooh, that was close, but I think it's going to stay with the 4-3-3 of Ryder Segedy out of New Jersey. Junior A 25 plus. Couple riders getting tangled up in the second turn. Here we go. 10 seconds. Junior A 25 plus. Russell Smith, Shane Whitker, Ethan Waddell, Christopher Fisher, Trent Gather, Hayden Dillon, Caleb Hagan, Joshua Thach, Aaron Higgins, Cameron Madison, Peyton Harden, Corey Jordan, Corey Wicker, and the 614, no doubt about that one. That is Cameron Madison out of Wright City, Missouri, on the Kawasaki with the whole shot and early lead. 10 seconds. Vet A, 30 plus. Robbie Norwood, Corey Armstrong, Christian Barada, Julio Lubiana, Matt Ochabon, Jared Druin, Jeff Werner, Max Fries, Joshua Watson, Nick Davis, Jonathan Gagnon. 3-6-4 on the whole shot. That's going to be Max Fries. Max Freezy getting it done early. Love to see it. Senior A, 40 plus. 10 seconds. Frank Messina, Fernando Pino, Andy Shea, Joe Marsh, Fabian Barada, Bernard Lanigan, Alexander Legault, Sean Jackson, Matt Sorgi, Jesse Arsenal, Frank Tussle, Darren Darmos, and the 3-6-2 of Sean Jackson out of Marlborough, New York. There's no way I said that city's name right. Sorry, folks. 10 seconds. Open B. Nate Garrison, Cody Harding, Andrew Post, Samuel Oster, Blake Freiberger, Carson Thurman, Landon Phillips, Keegan Storms, James Will, Caden Annan, Davey Souza, Dylan Fleming, Mark Cole, Jacob Wilbur, Colton Painter, Braden Clark, and the whole shot 8-3-1. That is Dylan Bailey out of Winsboro, South Carolina on the KTM. Little tangle up there in the first turn. Both riders got to back up on two wheels. Off and rolling. Wee bit of time to make up, but the blue flag flies, and we are ready for the 250B. seconds. Devin Moore, Lennox Riley, Nico Pursuti, Brandon Bailey, Kane Martin, Gabriel Davis, Raymond Rhines, Dylan McDonald, JoJo Madison, Michael Sturek, Samuel Tessner, Gage Clayton, Philip Likens, Oliver Rack, Braden Billing, and Mason Sakanikis. 4-3-2 on the whole shot. That is Philip Likens out of Kingwood, almost heaven, West Virginia. On the gas, grabbing that whole shot, an early lead. 10 seconds, 150B. Mason Zoll, Levi Wilkins, Isaac Leitner, Cole Parlin, Julian Lloyd, Charlie Simpson, Hayden Newsom, and Liam Sintakea. Liam, I butchered that last name, dude. 4-3-9. Levi Wilkins out of Pride, Louisiana, on that Real Deal MX training facility back ride. Putting that to good use right there. 10 seconds. 4-stroke B. Lights, Devin Starnes, Joseph Shalot, Justin Young, Carlo Cleary, Ethan Floyd, Ryan Glassmeyer, Matt Gray, Tucker McCrary, Maddox Moretz, Griffin Coleman, Owen James, Kid Norris, Preston Horton, Braxton Vick, and Spencer Knight. Whole shot 9-3-3. How much you want to get for it now? That's Braxton Vick out of North Carolina. I think he was on the Cowie right there. Grabbing that whole shot. 10 seconds. Junior B, 25 plus. Hunter Pedro, Briley Stollenberger, Devin Bodkin, Timothy Narbut, Trey Jefferson, Judson Bogus, Joseph Burchard, Ty Wingfield, Jaden Schlegel, Austin Balaska, Zach Weaver, Josh McCoy, Walker Hashman, Billy Saliga. 3-6-7. Alex Stoner out there on the whole shot. That's Devin Bodkin out of Mount Braddock, Pennsylvania, on the Honda, getting it done early. 10 seconds. Vet B, 30 plus. Rick Stanley, Zach Plants, Johnny Silva, Joseph Ward, Kai Cole, Jesse Fulmer, Alex Head, Edward Lighton, Nick Labey, Benjamin Lawton, Cody Johnson, Tommy Myers, Austin Ewing, William Schumacher, and whole shot. Oh, that was close, but I think that's a 7-1-5, almost on cue right there, of Austin Ewing out of Shelbyville, Indiana. Senior B, 40 plus. 10 seconds. Larry Hopper, Brandon Black, Aaron McAfee, Nathan Welch, Igor Soares, Leon Whitaver, Jesse Murphy, Chris Hart, Jeremy Nance, Gregory Davidson, Keith Taylor, and Nick Frady. We've got one machine trying to get that bike fired up. Do not cross in front of them. All right, start line looks like it is clear. Grabbing the whole shot. Woo! 319. That's Nathan Welch out of Jefferson, Georgia, on that Iron Pin Ranch back ride. Is going to grab that whole shot and early lead. We are off to the races, ladies and gentlemen. A great start to this one. How about it? Seeing Caleb Russell and Thad Duvall up there in the top three, and the rest of the boys sorting it all out. Great start for Craig DeLong. All that and more here in just a moment. We're going to get in a word from our sponsors and be back with more from the FMF Camp Coker Bullet GNCC.
Everywhere but the seat. The seat is leather.
Alan, we get it. You love your bike. We do too.
That's why we're America's #1 motorcycle insurer.
But do you have to wedge it into everything?
What? Don't do that. This reminds me of my bike. The Wolf was about the size of my new motorcycle. Have you seen it, by the way? Happy birthday, Grandma!
Really?
Look how the brushstrokes follow the line of the gas tank.
Hey!
Hey! Brought my +1. Jamie.
Every generation believes they've invented the best way. With age comes wisdom. We've come to realize that every piece of knowledge is learned, passed down from those generous and patient enough to teach.
a look.
Legacy. It's not about leaving something behind to be remembered by. It's realizing that the future lies within the next generation.
Let's call it a night. All right.
The nature of true progress is humbly building something bigger than yourself. Rocky Mountain ATV MC. This is our legacy.
Whatever you drive, however you drive. AMSOIL specially engineers lubricants to maximize power, performance, and protection in your vehicles, so you can work hard and play hard with confidence. Order online at amsoil.com.
Progressive GNCC Racing is brought to you by Progressive. Progressive could save you hundreds of dollars on your automobile and motorcycle insurance. Specialized e-turbo bicycles. It's you, only faster. RockyMountainATVMC.com. Get ready.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to round 4 of the 50th annual Progressive Insurance Grand National Cross Country Racing Series. This is the 2025 FMF Camp Coker Bullet GNCC. My name is Jackson Burrell. I'm going to be alongside Zach Heron, Johnny G, and, of course, Mikey Waynes to bring you today's action. Zach, we're back here in South Carolina.
It's a beautiful day once again here in South Carolina. The sun is shining, the sand is flying, and the announcers, well, we're smiling. It's been a great day so far. We've had some fantastic racing all morning. Our bike youth race, our AM bike race was a barn burner all the way down to the finish, and I'm expecting more of the same here this afternoon. Let's show you how things got started with our specialized start recap, our XC1 Pro class. Look at the drive from the factory Husqvarna of Craig DeLong. That is a textbook start. Little look over the shoulder to make sure that he was clear. But how about the drag race between Thad Duvall and Caleb Russell headed into that second turn? Evan Smith now joining us once again. Did his time in the Racer TV booth. Now he's back out on track and shuffled into that number 3 spot exiting turn 2. So excited to see how that shakes up as the race wears on. XC2 Pro Start. Take a look at this. Some bumping and grinding out at the front of the field, but it's going to be Toby Cleveland making the move and taking over that early race lead. How about that? Grant Davis actually slicing to the inside of what I believe was his teammate of Gus Reardon for that second place spot. Oh, Johnny G was out there. Mason Simmons. Okay, so
visiting
Mason,
from the West Coast.
Yeah, Mason jumping back and over and hanging out with us. So that could play a spoiler in that XC2 class for sure. We drop down to the FMF XC3 125 class, and James Jenkins doesn't just have skills on the fiddle. He's got skills on that Yamaha as well. Grabs the whole shot and makes it a pretty clean and clear start for the XC3 class. Here is your XC1 leaders. And look like that actually might have been the 198. Yeah, so that is Liam Draper.
Evan Smith going down off the line there.
Yeah, so, okay, looks like we've got the Ampro 1 and 2 now, so they got around Craig DeLong. Then we've got Mike Wachowski. Looks like that is Thad Duvall just behind, then Ben Kelly. And we can see, haven't had a lot of dust, as you see Johnny Gerard by us at the finish line, Jackson, but it is still extremely dry. There is Lyndon Snodgrass on the Husqvarna, Ricky Russell on the Triumph, Josh Strang, Stu Baylor. That is Ryder Lafferty. There is Evan Smith. And waiting to see if we'll get the XC2 leaders creeping into the picture as well. And right on cue, Grant Davis. Now, Jackson, we've been speculating. We've been talking about it all day long. But let's get some first-hand knowledge in the booth. Johnny G putting in some time out on the track today. What do we think about Camp Coker?
Man,
This track is. We used it in the preview multiple times. Sneaky rough, and now it's no longer sneaky rough. It's actually just gotten completely rough. Went out there, did 4 laps this morning in the morning race. In the beginning, track pretty unassuming. They went out and dozed it overnight, but man, you can see that it's a mix of sand and clay. It's got this hard pack underneath with sand on top. Certain places it gets deep like Florida, but a lot of it just gets square edge. When we say square edge, basically imagine if you took your driveway and used a jackhammer and you made a big pothole in the middle of your driveway, and then you just consistently had to hammer yourself into that edge of that pothole. That's pretty much what about 70% of the track is like. Very hard on the arms and hands. Suspension, I believe, is going to be key today, getting the right setting to make the rider have good feel and also to be able to withstand the absolute brutal beating that they're going to take over the course of the next 3 hours.
Yeah, it seems like this course is extremely abrasive, right? There's no kind of like the whooped out that we saw in Florida. You could almost try to find a flow with that. With this, sometimes you catch a big kick, your bike is sideways before you even know it. Look at the speed, though, that some of these riders are able to carry around the course. We've got some wide open sections. Not only is it choppy, it's fast as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've got, if you listen to the track description, we've got some tight, like pine single track that is literally first and second gear, just kind of trying to, for the afternoon race, there's actually some new stuff that hasn't even been touched yet. We go back to our live shots here, and we have Liam Draper out front. Not sure exactly what mile marker this is, but this is probably about halfway through the track, about the 5 mile marker. And then in second, it is still the 5:57 of Caleb Russell there. And last we saw, it was Craig DeLong, and it still is the 3:42 of DeLong there, rounding out the podium positions. Then it's Witkowski. Oh, this is going to get tough with the dust.
Duval, I believe. That might have been Ben Kelly making a pass.
It was Ben Kelly. And from here, guys, that was Johnny Gerard. Looked like maybe Snodgrass,
I believe.
Smith.
Looked like Evan Smith there. So did we lose Stu Baylor?
That might have just been Baylor that went by.
It looked like there was Josh Strang.
That was
there was Evan Smith there. So
okay.
I don't know who that other rider was. And now, so our XC2 is up into the mix. There's Gus Reardon. So yeah, we know our XC2 guys are up in the mix already with that XC1 class. But when looking at those guys being up in the mix, when you look at our overall top 10, you can see you got 4 XC2 guys and 6 XC1 guys. It's almost a perfect split in that top 10 overall. It's pretty wild to see so many XC2 guys up in the mix in the points right now.
Yeah, and that seems to kind of have been the theme of the 2025 season is the emergence of the XC2 class. Getting a look at what we believe is your XC3 leader of James Jenkins. There is Gavin Simon out of one of our A classes as well. Looks like he was able to get around Lane Whitmer. Those two were battling for the early race lead. Cool to show a little further back.
Looked like JoJo Cunningham there as well. Cooper Jones.
Some of our packs. This is kind of some of the next generation that we're going to see jumping up into those XC2 classes. Chase Landers. Yep.
Had a great run at our last ride. 8th overall, I believe it was, in that very, very muddy Talladega.
Yep, grabbing
race.
his first ever top overall amateur as well. So,
I believe that's Jenkins froze on the screen.
Yeah, we saw Jenkins a little further up, actually, in that XC3 class. So James really been making some strides forward as well. But just like you said, a pretty even split between XC1 and XC2. And this has kind of become something that I think maybe the XC1 guys are having to figure out a little bit. You know, we look at just the XC1 starting row, but they're having to deal with these riders in XC2 week after week, various conditions. Doesn't matter. The XC2's there to fight.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, like you said, you look at the split. You got Grant Davis, XC2, first time we've ever had an overall points leader from that XC2 class, especially, you know, we've never had it at all, but here we are 4 rounds in. You know, then you go Ben Kelly there in second, XC2 or XC1. So you got the mix. You got XC1, XC2, XC2, XC1, XC1, XC2. It's all mixed up. So you've got all these guys out there trying to race amongst themselves in that XC1 class, but now it's at the point where they're almost racing looking over their shoulder, and we've seen it so much in the first 3 rounds. I don't expect it to be any different today. I think what we keep hearing from these XC1 guys is we're just going to have to go faster at the beginning. I do think on a track like this, the lines are more established with the exception of that new single track section that we talked about. They're going to have to break that in. Everything from there, it's really going to shape up to be a track where it can get mixed in.
Well, they can look forward, they can look back. all they're going to see is dust at the moment. We were talking with some of our riders about Camp Coker, and one rider with a good start is Craig DeLong. Excited to hear what he's got in store for us and what he has to say about Camp Coker.
Camp Coker, this place is tough. It's got a sandy soil, but it's got a hard base too. So it's like it's kind of like you can run a couple different setups here. Like, you know, so you could set your bike up for the deep whoops, or you could set your bike up for like the small stiff chop. So this place is fun. It's one of the faster races, but the venue here is cool with all the ponds, and everybody enjoys camping out. And the venue is cool, but the track, man, it's brutal. It's rough.
And like Craig touched on, not only is this one of the favorites of as far as the courses go, but just the entire atmosphere, this entire Maurice Hunting Preserve, really impressive. And they put on a great event as well as a great race.
We talked about this in the intro. You know, the facility itself, it just looks absolutely beautiful when you pull in, but the racetrack is punishing. It absolutely can just take its toll on you throughout the day. But right now, Liam Draper out front, making it look easy, up on the pegs, just looking like he's cruising, kind of hopping, trying to get over that square edge chop, making dust and opening up a gap over his nearest competitor, which last we saw was the 5.57 of Caleb Russell. Wow. And you can see he has really opened it up. And now here comes the 5.57 of Caleb Russell in the number 2 spot. So it's an AmPro 1-2 right now, early here, 9 miles into lap number 1.
And this has kind of been what we've been waiting to see, Jackson. We were even talking about it earlier. Liam Draper, we know he's got the speed, he's got the fitness to do it, but the starts haven't been there, and it's been so hard to work forward. I'm excited to see what Liam Draper's got in store today.
Yeah, I'm sure he's ready to turn things back around after the start of his XC1 career last year, and then to have a season like he's had so far this year, you know he's ready to get things turned around and get back up on that box.
It'll be fun to watch for sure. Looks like Ricky Russell making his way through. There is Stu Baylor on the charge.
Yeah, after winning the last round, you know he wants to get up there. Doesn't want to let these guys get away. You know, even though he's not that far back, you know, you start to get into this position where if you can't see them and suddenly they put on a sprint, they can gap you 20, 30 seconds in a matter of no time at all. And I guarantee you that's why we're seeing such a sense of urgency out of Stu Baylor. Look at this. Cody Barnes up, putting pressure on Gus Reardon now for that number 2 spot in the XC2 class.
Yeah, your top 3 out of XC2 are right in the thick of your XC1 class. And that's going to be exciting to see. Don't know that we've seen Barnes right on the rear wheel of those 2 KTMs so far this season, so it'd be nice to see if he could latch on to them and put in a fight.
While we watch Draper on screen here, again, just flowing, looking very good. I'm not certain, but I think I may have also seen Mason Simmons in there as well. So it might actually be 4 riders in the mix. There was a KTM. I wasn't sure who it was. Nope, that answers that. There's Simmons right there. So it must have been. I saw Johnny Gerard further up in the mix, and Ben Kelly were right together, further up there ahead of
Duval, maybe?
Could have been Duval. Yep. Absolutely. That's a good point there.
Taking a look, Jesse Ansley making his way through. A couple of different line choices here as well, and good to see the variance in that. We have a limited viewpoint at the finish line, Jackson, where we announce our morning races, but we saw a lot of back and forth passing, different lines, not only that would work lap after lap, but kind of that main race line would change throughout the courses of the races as well.
Yeah, we saw this South Carolina Sand play a lot of tricks on these riders throughout this weekend, as now we watch Liam Draper back on screen once again here from our Yamaha Racing live drone.
Yeah, and this is going to be fun to watch. I think Liam riding with a bit of a point to prove after such an impressive debut in the XC1 field, not been able to kind of match that same intensity so far in 2025. We take a look now at the FMF PowerPoint. A couple of riders slicing and dicing. Starting to see some riders peek underneath, Johnny. As a rider out there, it seems like we've seen some of the riders kind of flowing to the outside. And Jackson, you even talked to our WXC podium earlier. Corey Steed making some passes for the win on the last lap. What was she saying as far as the line choices and the way she was able to attack this course? Because it seems like it's just beating you up no matter where you go.
Yeah, I think the real tell of the tape there for the WXC was some of the other riders that were having trouble in front of Rachel Archer here earlier today. So that's something we could see come into play here as well. Some of these other riders, some of the amateurs out there are going to have a tough time. They're very liable to go down in front of some of these top pros, and it can change a race like it did for Rachel Archer today.
Well, I can tell you guys, it was interesting to see how the track itself shaped up. At the beginning, I think I'd mentioned they went out, looked like they dozed some of the tight stuff to really kind of smooth it out. You could kind of move around and make lines. Well, then you start to get a fast groove worn in, and unfortunately for these guys, there's no time for track prep between the morning and afternoon race. So the track was pretty blown out edge to edge, you know, and you were kind of having to crisscross, you know, what would be the good line one lap would get so just absolutely chewed out from everybody getting on the gas, digging it out. Again, that square edge, the rocks coming up, roots, another thing, just roots everywhere. So I think what we're going to see is the guys that are able to adapt, you know, in Supercross, they talk about Cooper Webb, always able to turn, you know, pick up on the track changes and turn down early. There's going to be a lot of that out there. If these guys can adapt to the track, figure out the flow, figure out what parts of the track are getting chewed out the worst, and adapt, I really think we're going to see some passes made and some time gained by doing so. But right now, all the time being made by just hard on the throttle, and Liam Draper up again, feet on the pegs, looking smooth, and just carrying his momentum very, very well and marching away from the competition.
Hey, one thing I'm very interested to see here today is this XC2 class as they make their way up into the XC1s. The two races that we've saw them come up and just dominate in have both been mud races. So now we've got a good, sunny, dry day here. It's going to be interesting to see what they can do.
Yeah, I mean, I think we know that Grant Davis, Gus Reardon, you know, those two have been already competitive in non-mud races in the past. But the dominance, like you're saying, obviously, in two of the first three races this year, both mud races, you know, they're past the part of that single track, and it doesn't look like XC2 made up any big gobs of time like we've seen them do in those mud races. In fact, right now it looks like Liam Draper kind of stretching out over everybody, and then there's kind of that big group where it's, you know, a couple seconds in between, let the dust clear. But yeah, I mean, I think this is a statement ride here from Liam Draper on lap number 1. I mean, he's definitely not had the results that he wanted the first 3 rounds. Surely on the box 4 rounds in a row to start his XE. Oh, look at this. Ben Kelly's made moves. He's now up to the number 3 spot. He's gotten around Craig DeLong. DeLong back now to 4th, and then also got around Wachowski. So Ben Kelly, the rider on the move right now. Wachowski was looking racy. There's Thad Duvall there. So shout out to Thad, hanging tough and looking really good ahead of our defending champion, Johnny Gerard. And
possibly Russell that was just behind him.
Was it Ricky Russell on the Triumph? I believe, you guys may know, I didn't see any pre-race interviews. I think Ricky Russell actually on the 450 Triumph this weekend for the first time. And then we did also, we're back to the leader. So minute 3 back is the gap that we're told to Grant Davis, meaning that Grant Davis about 3 seconds out of the overall lead. If that's not with time correction, OPAG can clarify for us. But if that is the case, that would mean he would be very, very near the overall lead right now, but not actually in the overall. And we'll clarify. When they do that, someone actually stands there with a stopwatch between the starts, and that's how they adjust the time. Then they put that value into the computer. Ben Kelly on the charge now has almost gotten to the rear wheel of Caleb Russell, and it looked like those two maybe picked up a little bit of time on Liam Draper just in that short section. Now Craig DeLong under pressure from Wachowski again. Those two have been locked up pretty much since the first couple turns, and Thad Duvall right back there looking solid, pushing. There comes Johnny Gerard. And it is Ricky Russell on what I believe to be that 450 Triumph. They were having to get the gas tank on there. They got all the parts this week. Stu Baylor charging, very much in touch with the leaders. So I think Stu's done enough here in this first lap to dig himself out of the hole he was in after what looked like maybe just not the best start and not the first couple of miles that he wanted.
Well, and another rider that I think is going to be really trying to get back on that podium again because he's got so much momentum is Mike Wachowski. I mean, I feel like he's easy to let fly under the radar, but the number 8 Phoenix Honda has really had a solid start to the season, been on the podium multiple times, and was very content with the way things were set up at Talladega. Was like, you know, I feel good, the team feels good, now we're able to start correcting little things here and there and start fighting for podiums more regularly and start fighting for wins as well. So, Jackson, I'm on the lookout for the number 8 to try to start marching forward as we watch here on your Yamaha Racing Live drone. Look at that. Ben Kelly has got Caleb Russell in sight. We'll wait and see what those gaps are. Not but a couple of bike lengths between the two of them. So we'll see what kind of fight Caleb Russell is going to put up against Ben Kelly. These two, no strangers to one another, training. I don't necessarily want to say with one another. Caleb Russell during that retirement period doing some training for the KTM crew, and always got to think maybe there's a bit of a chip on the shoulder anytime those two line up or that crew lines up against Caleb Russell. And one thing's for sure, both of them absolute warriors, previous champions. And that's going to be a fun fight to watch.
Yeah, this is going to be a showdown here, no doubt. Now going to make their way through the pits here and head back out into the woods now once again. Zach, taking a look here at our points for the season, one thing that sticks out to me is the 3 overall winners from this season so far, sitting 7th, 8th, and 9th on the points for the season. That just shows what kind of season we've been off to here for this 50th annual.
Well, and it was one of those things that we talked about early in the season as well. With so many riders capable of putting in good results, it comes down to limiting those bad results. And unfortunately, believe all 3 of those riders, yes, Johnny Gerard, Nick DeFeo, and Stu Baylor all have at least one race, no points scored. So it comes down to who can be the most consistent throughout the season. 6th, 4th, and a 2nd on the overall is what's got Grant Davis leading the overall picture.
Well, leading the overall picture and also leading the overall on corrected time, guys. Grant Davis has checked in. Your XC2 leader is also your overall leader. 30-minute and 19-second lap time on lap number 1, 4 seconds faster than your XC1 leader, Liam Draper. So Grant Davis is in the overall lead on corrected time with the 4-second gap. Liam Draper sitting in the number 2 spot overall. Caleb Russell sitting in 3rd. Ben Kelly 4th. Witkowski 5th. DeLong 6th. Gerard 7th. Looks like, let me see, we may have had some more XC2 riders check in. Yes, now Gus Reardon has checked in. He's up to the number 3 spot overall with a 30-minute and 39 seconds. So Grant Davis, 20-second lead on XC2 already there in that first lap of racing. Reardon there in the number 2 spot, 3rd overall. And then also Cody Barnes up into a top 10 overall, sitting there in the 6th place overall position and 3rd in that XC2 Pro Lights class, just 3 seconds behind Gus Reardon. So we've got 3 XC2 riders up in the mix and in the top 10 overall.
Man, great look on our overhead drone shot of the line options between Caleb Russell and Ben Kelly. So many different choices between the 2 of them, and not sure really either one of them benefited. That gap maintained just about the same through that last little section, but we did catch a good glimpse of one of those square edge bumps as well, Jackson. I know we both saw that Ampro Yamaha get kicked sideways. This guy doesn't look like he's dealing with any square edge bumps right now. Liam Draper feeling the flow out front, leading the pack physically. But sure, he's probably getting pit boards letting him know that Grant Davis and those pesky XC2 kids are starting to peek into the overall picture as well. And there is the fight for 2nd place. Caleb Russell and Ben Kelly going at it.
Great shot here as they make their way through the trees. Really get a chance to see the lines from an overhead view and see what these riders are having to go through out there.
And as these guys battle, really 2 things can happen here. We start to see that they're definitely opening up the gap over Craig DeLong. Now, has Witkowski gotten around DeLong, or did Johnny Gerard make the pass on Witkowski? So that was a change from our last camera shot. Not exactly sure where Mike Witkowski slotted in there. But the one thing that we do know is when you get wrapped up in a battle like this, 1 of 2 things can happen. You can either push each other to the point where you start making ground on the riders in front of you, or you can get so wrapped up in that battle and, kind of start swapping lines and almost block passing each other, and you're so consumed with the rider that you're racing with, you end up slowing the pace down and letting the rider, in this case Liam Draper, that's out front and all alone, just continue to open up that gap. So we'll try to get our spotter out there, Hollywood, and also OPAG, if we can get some gaps from our clock here on the Racer TV feed and see how it looks like this is shaping up versus our leader, Liam Draper. Are these guys getting closer, or is this battle jamming them up, and is Liam Draper able to continue to open that gap up?
Now, one thing, Johnny, I want to talk to you about, we've noticed Ben Kelly in a lot of those open shots. We saw him going to the very edge of the track, even out into the grass in some spots. Explain a little bit about what the goal is with that and why we might see Ben trying to do that right now.
Again, that's just opening up the track. You're trying to get yourself a different angle to enter the corner. Obviously, the rut per se is going to be what everybody else thought was the fast line, but at some point the holes get so deep, the rut gets so completely just blown out. When you go in there, you can just bury the front end, or you get on the gas and you're losing forward drive. If you're able to go out wider, square it up, come across the inside on fresh dirt that doesn't have the square edge, you don't have that rut to hold you for your corner speed, but you're kind of changing the apex of the corner to get on smoother. You can see that whoever that rider was there was doing exactly that. They're just trying to go out wide, square off those corners so that they don't have to ride in the very rough sections of racetrack.
Yeah, with a track like this, man, it is not It is not hard to lose time whatsoever as far as rough as it is. The best line on the track could easily become the worst line on the track from lap 1 to lap 4.
And worth mentioning, you look at this, we see a lot of dust flying. We've talked about the square edge. Those are things that are typically attributed to dry, hard-packed conditions. This is a very low-lying area, and there's a lot of standing water. We see all the ponds around the property. There's several times where the track gets very close to the end of a swamp or the edge of a swamp or a pond, and the ground is saturated. There's 2 or 3 sections on the track where you're just going along, there's dust kicking up, and all of a sudden, there's these bottomless ruts that are full of water, and if you pick the wrong line, you can absolutely just bury your machine and virtually end your day. So it's got a little bit of everything, this Camp Coker track. No mud, but, it's got these wet, just sand holes that just absolutely draw you in, and once you're in there, it's almost like quicksand. You can't get out.
Yeah, I think it was either Bryson or Walker that was talking about that yesterday. Said, I didn't even realize there was lines with water in them, and sure enough, the rider in front of me took it. But absolutely a little bit of everything out here at Camp Coker. And
we did get an update from OPAG, our producer Adam Gordon, 15.02 seconds. So basically, the gap is stabilized. It was 16.5 seconds back to Caleb Russell when they checked in at the completion of lap number 1. So I guess you could say Caleb and Ben battling have made up about 1.5 seconds. But when you start talking 1.5, 2, 3, 4 seconds, that can change in one corner. It can just be where we timed it. So no significant gains, but also no significant losses. I got to tell you guys, during the first lap, when we were watching Liam pull away, I actually thought that gap was going to be more than 16 seconds. It looked at one point like he was maybe pushing towards a 30-second gap, but it looks like Caleb Russell, Ben Kelly have gotten the memo. They're not going to try not to let Liam get too far away, but man, when you have clear track, you saw him looking back through those finish line chicanes and almost looks surprised, like, hey, where did everybody else go? He just looks like he's riding very smooth, and right now, just barely putting a wheel wrong.
Yeah, I don't want to say he's cruising by any means. It's obvious that he's working very hard, but you don't hear the bike revving really hard. He's not slamming into corners. He's kind of just flowing around this course. These two guys, however, that's a war right there. Ben Kelly trying to find a way around Caleb Russell. You see standing on those pegs. Looks like different lines as they exited the frame. There is Mike Wachowski.
So Wachowski did get, and Thad Duvall also got around. And Johnny Girard now has also gotten around Craig DeLong. So Craig DeLong losing a bunch of spots here and just a few miles of racing. There is DeLong.
And he's got some company from Ricky Russell now as well on that 212 machine. Seeing Stu Baylor popping into the frame, and look who is just behind him.
Grant Davis.
Davis wiping the goggles.
Davis said in the interview a few races ago that was the rider that he was looking for. Kind of threw some shots there.
Well, yes and no. I mean, I think Stu kind of took offense, not offense, but, he says he marks riders. Well, let's be honest, Stu's not typically a strong starter, but he's known to come charging up late in the race. So if you see a guy that more times than not is going to find himself on the overall podium or potentially in contention to win the race, and he just doesn't start strong, why wouldn't you mark that guy if you're able to catch him and say, hey, man, you're going to be my draft pony. You're taking me to the front. Yep. And it didn't look like Grant had any intentions of even trying to pass him. He was just happy to sit behind him right there. And it's a smart move, man. That's great racing IQ, especially for such a young racer.
Yeah, and Grant Davis has talked about this as well, the way his mind shift has changed. Obviously, he wants to win the XC2 class, but he lines up each and every round with the goal and the expectation of being on that overall podium. So his mindset has kind of changed a little bit as far as who he judges against, how he paces himself, and what he considers to be an acceptable pace. So just to your point, Johnny, somebody like Stu Baylor that frequently is freight training his way up towards the front, yeah, I'd say that's a good guy to kind of lock up with.
Absolutely. Stu's proven, he's a proven podium contender every time he lines up. And he's known, he and his brother Grant are both known for those late race charges. It's just kind of been their MO. I don't know, they're like a big diesel engine. They take a little while to warm up, but once they do, look out. But Grant can't get too comfortable because as we were going away from that shot, you saw Gus Reardon there not at all far behind him. And when they checked in, he was actually 20 seconds back. So it looks like Reardon may have actually made up a little bit of time on Grant Davis in the battle for that XC2 win.
And I want to point out to everybody watching on RacerTV.com, of course, we've got the pylon there to the left side of the screen. OPAG helping us break down our different classes. So all of your riders in red, that's going to be your XC1 field, the green, your XC2, and then our gray is down into the XC3 and amateur classes as well. So just a cool way to show you guys exactly how intertwined these classes are.
Yeah, gray is going to be our amateurs, and blue
there is blue.
XC3.
Okay. All right.
We just don't have any XC3 in the top.
OPAG's got all the colors out there. All right.
Yep. Yeah, we've. It looks like our top amateurs right now. We've got 3 of them in the top 20. They've actually already made their way on corrected time past all of the XC3 riders. So man, but we've seen that so much this year, and it's kind of been those guys: Gavin Simon, JoJo Cunningham, Lane Whitmer. They're just absolutely flying, especially early in these races. Heck, we've seen Gavin Simon and JoJo Cunningham. I think JoJo Cunningham 5th overall at round number 1, and was up well inside the top 10 at Talladega as well until ultimately a catastrophic I don't know what it was, but they said there was parts of the machine splattered, basically. I think the motor came apart, just all the wear and tear from that heat in the mud. And JoJo is, if you've ever listened to him ride, he's not easy on a machine.
He's tough on him, yeah, I was about to say. I think, and in those conditions especially, it doesn't matter how light you were on the machine, it's brutal to say the least.
One rider I'm surprised not to see up a little higher in the overall when you look there, Lyndon Snodgrass, doing very well in the sands of Florida, and looked like he had a pretty good push going early, but right now he's back there sitting in that number 18 spot overall, so we'll have to see if he's able to make a push and get a little higher up in those overalls.
So taking a look here at our mile 5 as we wait to catch a glimpse of what we believe will be Mr. Liam Draper popping out. Stretching it out according to our spotter.
So we did get word there while we were. So it was 16 seconds, then it was 15, then we got word that it was 13, now it's 23. So it's kind of a little bit of a yo-yo effect right now. It seems like Caleb Russell, Ben Kelly able to pull a few seconds back, and now Liam Draper able to stretch it out another 10 seconds. And again, that could be an effect, Jackson, of that battle. When those guys get into multi-line sections and they're not just focused on going fast, they're worried about where's the other guy, trying to make passes. It is still Russell in the number 2 spot, and there is Ben Kelly in the number 3 spot. Wasn't actually watching the clock, but now it looks like we've got another couple riders joining this mix. Look at this, Thad Duvall up there. There's Johnny Gerard, and I'm assuming that was Mike Wachowski, that other helmet that we could just see the top of. So those guys now have made up a big chunk of time and gotten right to the rear wheel of that battle of Caleb Russell and Ben Kelly.
There goes Stu Baylor now making his way by, and there's Grant Davis still right there with him.
Man, you can see just how thick this dust is getting. The visibility is virtually nil right now. It's really a struggle to try to see anything. Now it's finally clearing, but that's why we're seeing these gaps kind of open and close, when you don't have the visibility. So there's somewhere in the mix. We think, obviously, most likely Grant Davis came through, but that would be second in our XC2 class. There's Gus Reardon. And
Cody Barnes, I believe.
Barnes, yeah, still right there with him. So this is, like you guys pointed out, I think this is the first time this early in the race we've seen Cody Barnes able to keep tabs on the XC2 leaders. So looking good, and that bodes well for for his chances here today.
And there's a good interview with you and Jason Wygant from just about a week ago on Racer TV. If anybody would like to check it out, get some insight there about that rider.
Yeah, it's good. We've been able to sit down with those guys and just kind of pick their brains, maybe just a little bit different kind of questions, less about, the track today and the race, just more kind of their history, go a little more in depth of the things that, we don't have time to cover here on race weekend. And it's fun to get these guys open up a little bit, and seemingly people are enjoying it so far.
I learned a lot about Cody. A cool story there from Barnes.
Yeah, we had Cody Barnes, Nick DeFeo. Nick was a great interview. I mean, he's a kid.
Yeah.
He can ride a dirt bike, but he literally is just a kid. Man, the dust is just continuing to kick up here. Again, we talked about it yesterday on the broadcast. There are sections of racetrack where the sand just is brutal, and then there's places where we have this. It's hard packed with dust kicking up, boys.
Little bit of everything, but one thing's for sure, some great racing without a doubt. We are going to get a word from our sponsors, and when we come back, we'll have more FMF, Camp Coker Bullet, GNCC Racing. Liam Draper in control of things right now, but Caleb Russell and Ben Kelly trying to chase him down. We'll be back right here on RacerTV.com.
Unleash aggression, reliability, and premium quality with Kenda tires, delivering exceptional performance on all types of vehicles. Automotive, ATVs, UTVs, motorcycles, bicycles, trailers, lawn and garden, and even golf. Trust Kenda tires to guide you on your next adventure. Kenda, designed for your journey.
Born of family values and a homegrown work ethic, Cometic Gasket seals your machine so you can focus on the finish line. Cometic Gaskets are the competitive standard for racers who demand the very best inside their engine. Cometic Gaskets are always constructed from superior materials designed to perform in the most demanding environments. Whether it's a championship on the line or a day in the dirt with friends, professionals and enthusiasts alike depend on Cometic. Cometic Gasket, sealing championships since 1989.
Progressive GNCC Racing is brought to you by Progressive. Progressive could save you hundreds of dollars on your automobile and motorcycle insurance. Specialized E-Turbo bicycles. It's you, only faster. RockyMountainATVMC.com. Get ready.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the FMF Camp Coker Bullet here in beautiful Society Hill, South Carolina. A home race for a lot of teams, and one of those teams is the Phoenix Racing Honda crew. We saw the success of Phoenix Racing Yamaha yesterday, and Mike Wachowski as well as Cody Barnes doing a great job of representing the Phoenix Racing Honda crew out here today. But hanging out with us here in the Racer TV studio, one of the Supercross racers for Phoenix Racing Honda, Evan Ferry. Evan, how are you doing, man? I know this is your first ever GNCC. It's a whole different ball game out here.
Yeah, man, it's definitely something different for sure. Yeah, first time ever at a GNCC, and yeah, having a good time. Got to go watch them go off the gate, and then I don't know what mile I was at. I don't know where I was, but I got to see him fly by one time, and that was pretty sweet. But yeah, super cool to be up in here with you guys.
Yeah, completely different discipline of racing. Phoenix Honda involved with all kinds of stuff. Now you yourself are coming off of an injury. Tell the fans at home a little bit about what you had happen and how the recovery's going.
Yeah, in the first 250 heat race at Anaheim 1, I unfortunately tore my Achilles, and yeah, I'm right about 3 months out now. I'm walking, I'm riding my bicycle, I'm having a good time, getting back to hopefully being back on the bike here within the next month, hopefully, and yeah, just doing a lot of PT. That's about it.
Yeah, it's a long, hard road, isn't it?
Yeah, it's definitely a different kind of injury for sure. Something that I haven't dealt with yet, but you know, it's building character, so. Getting through it.
It's all part of the story, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Without a doubt. Well, feel free to hang out with us here in the truck, call a little bit of racing. Like you said, you went over and checked out the start. What do you think about those dead engine starts?
Oh man, I don't know if I could do it.
No thanks. Huh?
But yeah. You know, it's funny. I was actually talking to David earlier. Maybe at some point get me out there and do something like this one time. So yeah.
You got to have to start paying a little more attention to the schedule because there's quite the variance between like the sands of Florida and then we get up into the rocks of West Virginia. It's a whole different ball game, but nonetheless, it's extremely cool. Now, how much interaction do you guys have between the off-road side of things and with the moto and supercross side there at Phoenix Honda?
Not a whole lot. Obviously, on the social media side of it and everything, we all follow each other. We like and comment on each other's stuff. So you know, we definitely keep updated, but. No, yeah, I definitely want to get a little bit closer with some of those guys. They seem like some really good guys. You know, they're out there doing pretty good right now. I mean, honestly, I don't really know what I'm watching, but yeah.
Well, not that we're experts in the field, Jackson, but we'll try to bring them along and show them what's going on right now. So obviously here in GNCC we've got some different classes, your XC1, your XC2, and here this year especially, those guys have been about as mixed up as they could get. Grant Davis leading the overall right now out of that XC2 class, but he starts a minute back, so there's that corrected time. But man, the young kids, got to give a shout out to this guy right here, Mason Pratt, MX Cairo, buddy of mine, first GNCC in like 5 years, decided, you know what, forget it, we're doing a 3-hour race, go have some fun. But actually, let's touch on that. 3 hours of racing. You guys are out there 20 minutes plus a couple of laps, 30 plus 2 in outdoors, 3 hours, and these guys clearly, they're not pacing very much. What do you think about that?
Man, I don't know, dude. Three hours on a dirt bike sounds gnarly.
Brutal.
But, yeah, it sounds really brutal. Honestly, just everything between like just your hands, like, you know, your butt sitting on the seat for 3 hours. Yep. I mean, man, like your hands just have to be toast after those 3 hours. But yeah, I mean, you know, for a guy like me, probably not a bad idea to actually maybe go do a couple. You know, it's a lot of really good endurance, and it'll hopefully make those 30 plus 2s maybe feel a little bit shorter than they do right now.
Yeah, blow by for sure. I know a lot of those KTM riders have now moved and started doing their training at Club MX, and believe they actually do a little bit of moto practice with some of the motocross and supercross team guys as well. And these guys are no slouch on a motocross track either.
Oh yeah. I actually got to ride with Jesse Ansley quite a bit back in the day, back when I was on 125s, and the dude would put it on us on the outdoor track. So. Yeah, dude, they're no slouches on the outdoor tracks for sure.
Well, taking a look now, we pick back up with your leader on the Yamaha Racing Live Drone, Liam Draper out front leading the way. Let's see what that gap is now back to the second and third place, and whether or not that's still a fight between Caleb Russell and Ben Kelly. Looked like he had opened that gap up a little bit, Jackson.
Yeah, waiting to see now what it's going to officially be as we watch our leader, Liam Draper, on screen here, our physical leader on screen. However, Grant Davis is still in control of it as far as the overall elapsed time goes.
And we talk about bar-to-bar racing action in moto and supercross. Those guys, it's trees on either side of them. I don't know if you've been to that section of this course yet or not, but that's one of my favorite photography and videography sections of the entire season. Blows my mind to see how fast they're going, mere inches from trees on both sides.
Yeah, I think the other big thing you got to look at too is the dust here. I mean, it's a little dusty, and you know the visibility inside those trees. Man, that's got to be pretty scary going through those trees real fast, not being able to see where you're going.
Yeah, we talk about dust on a moto or supercross track. They throw a little water on before the next race goes off. Here, what you get is what you get, and I'm sure if you follow those guys on social media, we get plenty of moisture out here as well. This is a rare dry race at GNCC.
Yeah, man, I saw some clips on the broadcast earlier from I don't know what race it was, but man, it looks rough when it gets muddy out there, especially in those trees. There's like 10-foot ruts everywhere. It's crazy.
Yeah, these guys not scared of any conditions.
Yeah, for our bike guys, it's been 2 out of 3 races this year have been absolute mudder. Some of them saying the worst that they've ever saw in GNCC. Knee-deep mud pretty much around the entire track. As now we take a look once again at Liam Draper. Going to try to catch a look at Caleb Russell and Ben Kelly and see how that battle is going for that second and third physical spot out on the track.
Man, did you see that, Jackson, the way he was leaping some of those braking bumps? I mean, talk about fighting the track versus flowing with the track. And Evan, you can probably touch on this as well. Whether it be the trail or the track, there's some days where it seems like you're fighting the machine, you're fighting the course. These guys are fighting each other. Wait a second, that's your teammate, Mike Wachowski, trying to make a pass on Caleb Russell. Sounds like Ben Kelly has already made the pass. Your boy Mike trying to put up a fight right now, Evan.
Yeah, man. Hey, let's see what he can do. But yeah, no, I like you said about, you know, just flowing and hopping the bumps and doing everything. You know, you'll get guys that really just get into a really good flow. They like the track, maybe they like the dirt, and obviously it seems to me that Grant Davis is liking this right now, and it seems like he's flowing really good.
Yeah, Grant Davis flowing through and in the middle of the pack as well, and then Liam Draper looking solid as well. There goes Gus Reardon out of that XC2 class as well, trying to get up in the mix. But this is going to be exciting. Cody Barnes right there as well. Not totally lost sight with him. Probably wants to close that in just a little bit if he wants to keep hanging right off the back of Gus Reardon. But going to be fun to watch. And man, this FMF PowerPoint, a great section of track as well. A lot of switchbacks as well, Jackson. We've got two of them right back-to-back headed towards the finish line. And it sounds so simple, just a couple of 180-degree corners, but how many people did we see this morning on the ground just in those corners?
Yeah, it just sets the bike off the way that the corners are, the way that this sand is forming. It seems to catch a lot of these riders off guard. Not just our amateurs, some of our pros as well, but definitely there on the amateur side. As you go down through the classes, it starts bottling up. We saw a lot of bottlenecks here this weekend as well.
Look, there is Evan Smith. Evan hanging out with us in the Racer TV truck at our last round. Good to see him all healed up and back out on course. It's got to be a tough one to come back to as well.
Yeah, no doubt. He picked a sure enough one to come to. Josh Strang now on screen on the number 7 Beta machine, making his way through. Go back to what we were talking about a minute ago with jumping those bumps like we saw Liam Draper. When I see somebody doing that, that's always a sign to me that you're feeling comfortable, that you're comfortable with the bike, that you're confident in what the bike's going to do, and you're flowing and going.
I couldn't agree more. And that KTM rider just came by, Mason Simmons, looked like he had Jason Tino just behind him, and then just saw Josh Toth go by as well. A little surprised to not see Simmons a bit further up. Simmons really had a good run over on the West Coast Off-Road Racing Series. He's had success here in GNCC as well. Thought this might be a day where we could see him get up into some spoiler positions, but right now still hanging strong in about 4th or 5th place spot in XC2. But this guy all by his lonesome. And that's another impressive thing, Jackson, as well. We talk about how hard it is to keep pace and to push that pace when you're by yourself. Liam Draper's pretty much been all alone all day long, and it seems to be working just fine for him.
Yeah, continuing to push that pace so far. Taking a look here, he was 16 seconds ahead of Caleb Russell when they came through timing and scoring. I'll keep my eyes on that and see what it's going to be back to Ben Kelly this next time they come through.
And Evan, I've got to assume that kind of translates over to Moto and Supercross as well. If you've got a guy right in front of you, you can pick up little things that he's doing, make some small adjustments, but once you lose sight of him, it's really hard to kind of make that gap back up if you can't tell what they're doing better than you.
Yeah, for sure. And I think being Draper, being out front just all by himself, that's a really tough position to be in. Some people really strive there. Some people don't. I know guys like Ricky, Ricky Carmichael love to be in like second place. Yep. And, you can pick up on those things that the guy in front of you is doing a little bit better. But when you're in front of them, you don't know what they're doing behind you. So, it just depends on the person. Some people like being out front. Some people like being all by themselves. And then some people like chasing the rabbit in second place. So.
Well, chasing the rabbit right now in second place is Ben Kelly. And Jackson, he looks like he's on the charge. He had that fight with Caleb Russell for almost an entire lap. He's made the pass, and he's put some distance between himself and third place.
Yeah, Liam Draper better continue to push that pace. One thing that's very different about GNCC, even though Mike Wachowski on screen on the number 8 machine, and here we go.
Looks like Caleb Russell, Thad Duvall, possibly Johnny Gerard, Ricky Russell, Stu Baylor, and there is your XC2 leader of Grant Davis right in the mix. And Jackson, he's got 4 to 5 XC1 riders right in front of him. But how about that? Feel like a throwback here. Thad Duvall and Caleb Russell going at it once again, and it's towards the front of the field as well. I love to see it.
Yeah, like I was saying about Liam Draper, one thing that makes it so tough here in GNCC, even though he's physically leading the race, he is not leading the race. How do you push that when you have no riders in front of you, you have no recollection of what's going on with Grant Davis behind you?
Yeah, and there's not really any way you can control it either, right? You don't know what Grant's going to do, what the traffic in front of Grant's going to do, and so you just got to push as hard as you can. I know he's getting lap boards around, or multiple lap, or pit boards, around the lap that are saying, Grant's leading, but what does that really do to help? I'm going as fast as I can, guys. And so it's always fun to hear them in the interviews be like, it's so frustrating because they're like, push harder, and I'm going as fast as I possibly can.
Yep, exactly. Man, I've got to give it to Grant Davis and the boys. They really have been putting it on him here lately. Davis, he catches up to him. We say that they have an advantage, that they can catch up to him. He's not just catching up to him. We're going to see it here in just a minute. I'm sure he's going to start working his way through this XC1 pack.
Well, Evan, this is fun to watch. Working his way through the pack is Mike Wachowski on that Phoenix Racing Honda. He's gotten a couple of podiums already this year. I think that's the last guy you want to see really get confident. They've got that Honda dialed in. I'm seeing some big things from the number 8.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, man, it's crazy to think too that they're only 59 minutes into this race here. So, a lot can change from now until that 3-hour mark.
It's crazy that we're saying, that they're only 59 minutes in, and then it's crazy that we're saying they're only 59 minutes.
Yeah, it's crazy.
That's 2 outdoor motos right there.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
All right, so we've checked in here at the finish line. Draper over and out.
Impressive to say the least. Little hiccup there in that corner. Let's see what happens here on pit road, whether or not we're going to see some guys go in. curious to see whether or not pit strategy comes into play. We did see that happen yesterday on the ATV side of things. There you see the gap back to Ben Kelly. So we've got them both in the same helicopter, or excuse me, the same drone shot. Small helicopter, if you will.
11 seconds going to separate those two, and they just dropped it down, having the 2 fastest laps of the race so far. And Ben Kelly, that last time around, was going to be 7 seconds faster.
Yeah, I'm curious to see how the overall changes over this next lap or so, because Ben Kelly is pushing hard. Draper, I don't really think he's losing a lot of pace, but I think everybody else is picking it up. Man, did you see the back end get kicked there from Liam Draper? That was quite the save. Clearly hanging on with those legs.
And already seeing him, Zach, going real wide in those corners. Those lines already starting to change on what's going to be the premier line.
Mike Wachowski, Thad Duvall grabbing a little bit of hydration as well. And then there is Caleb Russell. So Duvall has gotten around Caleb Russell. Here comes Johnny Gerard, Ricky Russell, Stu Baylor, and Grant Davis. Baylor going to pull into the pits. Let's see, a refuel, new set of goggles. So pit strategy coming into play for this one. And he's back off and rolling. Well, Evan, we want to thank you for hanging out with us, man. I know you want to get out there and enjoy watching your teammates go and do battle. Podium positions in both XC1 and XC2. One more time, what was that time frame before we hope to see you back on the machine?
Yeah, you know, I think at some point here in outdoors I want to be back racing. But, yeah, within the next 3 or 4 weeks, hopefully get back on the motorcycle. But, yeah, man, I'm just excited to be here. This is a really cool, different experience. You know, I'm probably a horrible announcer right now up here because I have no idea what's going on. But yeah, man, I'll just keep learning, and then maybe you guys will see me back here pretty soon, and maybe I'll have a little bit more announcing to do up here.
Hey, there we go. We're going to start applying that pressure to David Eller. I want to see little Red Dog out here doing some racing. So, well, thank you for the time, man, and best of luck with your recovery.
Yeah, thank you, guys.
So Evan Ferry here from the Phoenix Racing Honda crew hanging out with us.
And going to watch on our Yamaha Racing live drone at Liam Draper once again. The man is on rails right now, the New Zealand native. Seeing New Zealand taking over on the dirt bikes. Cole Davey getting a win in Supercross now. Liam Draper trying to get one for himself. And New Zealand has to be happy with what they've been seeing lately.
Yeah, right. Talk about global domination here in the motorcycle racing world. Back to the FMF PowerPoint we go, and Draper's charging in and charging out. Still got those elbows up. Seems like he's working well. Sunday cruise, if you will. But man, Ben Kelly, look at that. He's closed the gap up even more.
And look at this on timing and scoring. Gus Reardon going to move up to the 3rd place position. So it's Grant Davis, Liam Draper, Reardon, Kelly, and Barnes, your top 5.
Man, so XC2, XC1, XC2, XC1, XC2. I mean, this is as mixed up as it gets, Mikey. We talked about the evolution of the XC2 class. They have evolved. They're here, and they want to win.
Yeah, it's interesting. You guys got to hear the interview with Josh, right? Josh Strang.
Oh, yeah.
We'll leave that mostly off air because I think I talked to him for like 15 minutes, but it was well worth it. And he gave his, veteran rider as, boy, that battle still looking good. KR right there in front of Johnny Gerard. But some really good insights from Josh Strang on his perspective of the situation that we're in, where you've got the top 10 guys, you've thrown their numbers into a Yahtzee shaker, and everything is up for grabs, and look how close they are now. I mean, it's just, it's ridiculous. It's fun to watch, but it is an interesting situation, to say the least.
Yeah, it's tough, and it's tough to even, as announcers, really feel like what side of the fence we're on.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I kind of reassured Josh. I said, the rumor mill is afloat about, will changes take place? It's too late. They're not going to do anything mid-season. Ben Kelly charging right there, the 530. Certainly, but I mean, I don't know. Does it change in the future? And Josh made a good point, and Evan probably could have weighed in on this too. Evan Ferry, you kind of see it in outdoor and Supercross too, where it's not a big of a jump as it used to be, and that doesn't take anything away from Liam Draper, Ben Kelly, Mike Wachowski, Thad Duvall, Caleb Russell. I don't know. It's very unique It's not a problem. It's certainly not a problem, but it is a unique situation.
Well, and I think part of the evolution of XC2, take a look at 17th and 19th on our overalls right now. Those are both A riders. They're amateurs that are in the top 20 overall of the best in the world here at GNCC Racing. Same thing with the amateur motocross and supercross side. And, I mean, we can even go to our youth races here. The programs that these kids have, the way their entire lives revolve around racing. You know, they're on-track school students. They're doing training during the week. They've got bike coaches, mental coaches, nutritionists. I mean, it is a full lifelong dedication for these riders. And so by the time they are 16 to 17, shoot, we've been doing this 10, 11 years by now.
I mean, that's it. And if you guys ever, if you're watching at home, you've not been to a national in a while, get to a GNCC, go watch the youth bikes and that YXC1 Super Mini Senior class. It is hard to distinguish the difference between maybe the top 5 guys in that class and watching the 3-hour race in the afternoon. It's just that incredible. Watching that battle between Liam Draper, who is he fighting against right now?
He is
Ben Kelly.
Yep.
Oh yeah, Ben Kelly. Kelly on the move, man. Looking good.
He is. He's been chipping away at it. Now he has finally got almost into striking distance here of Draper. However, I'm sure Draper is going to try to up the pace here as he realizes that Ben Kelly is closing in.
Interesting, the other side of that, not an argument about the XC2 versus XC1. Liam Draper's a dude. Now, he was no slouch in XC2. He carried the #1 plate. He's a national champ out of the XC2 class. But as we saw late last year and into this season, just seems to be a better fit in the XC1 for him. And there was really no big learning curve, and he is leading a man right now who is also a former #1 plate holder in not just the XC2 class, but the XC1 at one time.
Yeah, hey, something worth mentioning. Last time I saw Stu Baylor, unless Grant Davis has gotten around him, he's definitely lost a little bit of time. So this could be one of the races where we see what we've been used to up until lately, where about midway through these races, the XC2 starts slowly fading.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see it either, because I think so many of these XC1 guys are within sight of one another. They're pushing the pace, and these XC2 boys maybe having to put up a little bit more of a fight than they thought they were going to. Also think it's interesting, 13, 14, and 15 in your overall, Simmons, Tino, and Toth. The last time we saw them, they were actually in a physical wheel-to-wheel battle as well. So be curious to see if they start marching forward. They got a group of XC1 riders in front of them. But how about this? The gap, what gap? Ben Kelly is there, and he wants the #1 spot. Got to think Draper might be aware that Ben Kelly's got a little more pace right now. He closed that gap up extremely quickly, and that's something that kind of had to adjust to as far as we moved over to the off-road side of things, where these guys, they will give those positions from time to time to try to pace off of and improve, you know, line selection or what have you. So, man, another freight train battle here for the final podium spot. How about it? Thad Duvall
hanging with Mike
in the top 5. That's not good enough. That was Grant Davis.
He has gotten by.
Wow.
He's not falling back. He is going forward.
Wow. That was Grant Davis, and he is knocking on the door of a potential physical podium if he can get around Mike Wachowski and Thad Duvall. Here's a battle of Florida flashback, if you will. Caleb Russell and Johnny Gerard going at it with Stu Baylor right behind him.
Man, what I would do to see the passes that were made there from Grant Davis to get up into that spot around some of the best of the best.
Cody Barnes making his way through. Man, and that was a pretty huge gap that he had made up, Grant Davis, as far as the amount of riders that he got around there. You see Craig DeLong still hanging strong. Got to think maybe a little disappointed there for Craig DeLong. A good start, and unfortunately he's just been shuffled back here in this first hour or so. We'll see whether or not he can turn things around the second half of the race. But, man, Grant Davis, that was 2-3 riders he had gotten around just since the last time we saw him.
Yeah, it's interesting. We spoke, Johnny and I spoke in the pre-show about Grant Davis, and it was Grant's dad at the banquet saying, hey, Grant's going for the overall national title in 2025. And I said scoffed and laughed, and Johnny corrected me, and he's right. It wasn't that we were like, you're out of your mind. It was just kind of like, I don't know, man. That's it's never been done. It's a far stretch. If he can make it happen, awesome. But, dude, here we are, talking the talk, walking the walk. We're 4 rounds into it, almost 4 rounds into it. And Grant Davis, I mean, that's the guy with the target on his back. And it's not for Grant to worry about if he's row 1 or row 2, man. Not his problem. He's out there doing his thing.
Yeah, big dreams, and he's making them happen here in 2025. So looking on screen, I didn't see Stu Baylor in that last camera shot that we were at when the rest of the riders made their way by, so possibly some troubles here for Stu.
Let's keep our eyes out for the 514.
So back here at the mile 5, waiting for your leader, which could possibly be Ben Kelly at this point.
Yeah, you guys mentioned Ben Kelly looked like he had the pace there. Was just kind of being patient and looking for maybe a good clean opportunity to get around him. Whoever is out in front of the XC1, they've got to push. I mean, they can't get complacent with just being the first guy in XC1 at this point. They've got to go out there and really push the pace if they want to put the gap back on Grant Davis.
Yeah, I mean, they honestly can't even be phased about moving into the number one spot. Like, as high up as Grant has climbed into the XC1 field, it's time to go. And this is another talking point right here, the amount of riders that we have here at Camp Coker. Over 600 riders in our AM bike race. Have not got the numbers on total bikes here in this PM bike race, but as you can see, it's a lot. And that's a lot of lap riders that your leaders are having to pick their way through.
I know we were well over 200, not quite at the 300 mark, but I heard a lot of people from the AM race asking, like you and I, three of us get a say in it, but they're like, will they ever split Camp Coker like we do Big Buck and Ironman? I'm like, well, maybe. You guys keep coming out in droves like this. That is certainly going to be in the conversation. Yeah, a lot of riders in that AM race.
Yeah, that'll be close to 1,000 riders that have hit this track today between our youth, our AM, and now our PM. Huge turnout to Camp Coker.
All right, who's it going to be, boys? We're going to have Draper, we're going to have Ben Kelly.
I'm putting money on BK on this one.
He looked good.
Yep.
He certainly looked good.
Hey, so far so good for Liam Draper the last time we saw him. We'll see.
Uh-oh. OPAG may know. Sounds like Liam. There's our confirmation.
Thanks a lot, Liam.
Good job kicking up dust, though. He's trying to make it difficult.
Well, and what I was going to say was I'm curious to see, now that Liam obviously knows Ben is there and he's under pressure, how much does Liam have in the tank? What was he? Were we watching him ride at 80%? And is he able to wick it up, or was that as much as he's got? Clearly looks like he's been able to respond to the pressure from Ben Kelly.
Another thing to factor, correct me if I'm wrong, Stu is the only one I know of that took a pit stop that previous lap. Is that right?
Only one that we actually saw on camera. Yep. Now Mike here Rukowski is the battle for that final podium spot.
And Thad.
And that was Grant Davis that just went by in front of Ricky Russell. And then a cloud.
How far back is Stu now?
So Ricky Russell moving up. There we see Caleb.
There's Stu.
Did we see Gerard?
So Caleb Russell.
And there
is Johnny Gerard. So trouble for Johnny.
And couldn't quite see. Might have been Gus Reardon just behind Gerard.
After the race that we had there in Florida for round number 2, I think everybody would expect Gerard and Russell to have been battling it out here in this one. But that's how quick things change in GNCC.
Craig DeLong just pushed through right there. He's kind of by his lonesome. See if Craig's able to wick it up, get back to that early race speed that he started with.
Shows the variance in pace between these sections too. I mean, not that any of these riders in this afternoon race are slouches by any means, but I mean, that's what even Evan Ferry was talking about. I mean, the 3 hours alone, 3 hours of just sitting on your bike, twisting throttle, hanging out, having fun is a lot. 3 hours of racing at, absolute peak intensity. It leaves doctors scratching their heads when we give heart rate information. Evan Smith.
Good to have Evan back, by the way, riding for AmPro. Had him in the booth, a few weeks ago. Better to have him on the track, like it. and doing pretty well. I liked hearing Evan talk about GNCC, and admittedly, he's like, I don't really know what I'm watching. But he mentioned in the pits when we interviewed him prior, like, he would like to race one.
Yeah.
And there is that, for years it still is apples and oranges, moto versus off-road, which guy's tougher, blah, blah, blah. Bottom line is, I think they're both starting to see the usefulness of racing both disciplines. It can be good for your moto career. It can be good for your off-road career. Love to see it. But nonetheless, we got ourselves a good one here. We are 2 laps in, getting into the meat of this race. How's it going to sort out? We have absolutely no clue. We know Grant Davis is leading it, and then you got a plethora of riders. Liam Draper, Ben Kelly, Angus Reardon, Cody Barnes, Thad Duvall having a great ride, KR, Caleb Russell having a solid day. Going to be fun to watch and see how this one plays out. We'll be right back with more right after this.
On Track School is an online private school catering to some of the top athletes in the world. We offer a flexible schedule for students that are chasing their dreams and always on the go. We are an accredited K-12 school where students can graduate with a diploma. Scan the QR code or call us to book an appointment with one of our learning coaches to discuss your students' next steps.
OnTrackSchool.com. Check it out.
We've been there since the very beginning.
20 laps, the main event, the mud, the blood, the beer.
Organizing the industry and building champions. "100 years of defending your rights to ride into the future."
Community, family, teamwork. It's what we have stood on for over a decade. Hauling might be what we do at the surface, but it's much deeper than that, because what you need matters. When you need a haul, give us a call at 724-852-4488. For 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and 365 days a year, we at JD Enterprises are prepared to serve you.
It takes commitment, passion, and endurance to make something great. Made by champions, for champions.
Progressive GNCC Racing is brought to you by Progressive. Progressive could save you hundreds of dollars on your automobile and motorcycle insurance. Specialized E-Turbo bicycles. It's you, only faster. Rocky Mountain ATVMC.com. Get ready. And welcome back to GNCC Live here on RacerTV.com. What a beautiful sight, the FMF Camp Coker Bullet. And as we look at that beautiful sight, by the way, if you are at home watching, circle this round next year. Come out, race with us. I will say, coming from Indiana, this place is a pain in the butt to get to. But by God, once you're here, this is about as good as it gets. Something for everybody. While we wait on the leaders to come through, this is the FMF Camp Coker Bullet. We have a nice little feature talking about FMF and I believe our AmPro Yamaha team.
How you guys doing? I'm Randy Hawkins with AmPro Yamaha. I'm telling you, one of our strategic and key partners that we have with this program is FMF.
So when I was about 14 years old, FMF was my very first free product sponsor that I got. And I've had that partnership with them throughout my entire career, and I've ran nothing else. So for me, FMF is the only thing I know.
I've had FMF when I was back in New Zealand. It was a big product back there too, so it's worldwide obviously, but no, it's cool to have it over here while I race in America. And
FMF for me, the product is absolutely top notch. You know, from the product that they give the consumer to the stuff that they build for the race teams, it's always very high quality. It's durable, it's made here in the United States, so that's always a plus.
We did a bunch of testing actually last year with the 250 product, and it made a big difference to our bikes. And now this year going to the 450, it helps a lot with the power and delivery of it, so it's a good product to have.
And I was blessed not only as part of our sponsor of our program here, is I actually got to ride in my career with the FMF product. We had questions or try to work things out. I mean, just what they're able to do on the exhaust system has been amazing. And I know we're over 20 years with FMF, and when you say that a program as a race team survives on sponsorship, 20 years with an iconic program like FMF, we're blessed. Long as I'm part of this program with AmPro, we're for sure we need the horsepower house FMF on our bikes.
Very cool, very cool. Shout out to FMF and the AmPro Yamaha team as well, showing a little love to those guys. Kyle Dangler out here with us this weekend representing FMF too. Shout out to him. And he raced this morning. Didn't see how he did, but nonetheless.
He looked good out there. I saw him a few times.
He did look good. He had the very inside line on the start, and they had like 30-plus guys in that class, and I had to kind of get skinny against the fence line and just sort of hope for the best, but thank you, Kyle, for not running me over, dude. Well, hey, in addition to that, we had more fun last night. I said Camp Coker is the place to be if you want entertainment, and we got that. The Browns RV Superstore fishing tournament taking place. Look at all those lines going out. How'd you guys do?
Oh, we had a great time. Yeah. I helped MC it, had a few jokes.
I heard good things about the jokes, actually.
Well, that's good. You know why fish don't play basketball?
I don't know. Why?
They're scared of the net.
He just pulls them out, too,
That's
like out of
good,
nowhere,
man.
And all of a sudden he's just cracking fish jokes. It was amazing.
Good.
It was a great time out there. Jordan, one of our Racer TV crew, having a good time. He was up on the leaderboards for a second. There it is. But he wasn't able to get in the top 3 there for our senior division. Got butted out before it was over, man. We had 27 inches accumulated in some of those classes. Some huge fish out here. That pond is absolutely stocked.
That's cool. I love to see that. Love to see that. We had Stasic racing as well. I don't know if that was...
That was a big hit as well.
Oh, we did? Okay. I thought we had...
There it is.
Look at that.
There it is.
If you ask any kid under 5, this is the main event of GNCC.
Yeah, no doubt. Griff Cotter and the gang put on such a big show down there. Everybody gets a medal. Everybody gets one of those KTM jerseys for themselves with the name on the back.
Oh, inside. How you like that?
Saw a little of that at Supercross last night.
Yeah, that was impressive.
I wonder if they had words
Yeah, I
for
wonder
each
if they
other
chatted after the race, too.
This is our big wheel division, I believe, right here. We have a 2 and under Stasic class that has probably 20-plus riders every weekend.
Look at this. In the full tuck positions. That's a pretty extensive Stasic course as well. The boys really outdid themselves this weekend. And it's as legit as it gets. Ricky Towery's out there. They do full opening ceremonies. Yep, Gary Joe watching and celebrating. Maverick Strang. Look at that. Sliding to a win.
He didn't even need goggles, man. Nope. All right, Maverick, he did well. How you going to do today, Josh? So, yeah, fun.
Yeah, a lot of fun activities. Back to the racing here, mile 9, waiting for your leaders to come by. Your physical leader, here we go. Liam Draper on screen now, still with Ben Kelly just behind him trying to chase him down.
Around, quite a bit of lap traffic.
Yep.
No problem for either guy. Shout out to those guys here in the charge of the XC1 riders coming through, able to dodge and get out the way. Liam doing a good job. All commercial brake, holding off the 530, and what we saw was Ben Kelly looked like the faster rider. Maybe not the case now, or at least a sense of urgency out of Liam.
Yeah, it does look like Liam has responded to the pressure. One of the things that I've noticed, it looks like Draper starting to sit down just a little bit more. Ben Kelly always got that super flat, straight back, and then is on the pegs all the time. So Ben Kelly's still on the charge right now. Not that Liam's not still charging, but looks like he's taking a little bit of a more relaxed stance on that AmPro Yamaha. Still bobbing and weaving and skipping his way through these bumps, though.
As this track begins to change, it's starting to look like all lines are bad lines as far as roughness goes. We saw him going to inside to outside. It looks like now just choosing that main line.
So Draper out in front, the 198 AmPro Yamaha, and Ben Kelly, Factory Racing KTM, just behind him. This is a battle for the what would be physical lead and the lead of the XC1. Grant Davis to our knowledge, at least last time we saw, still has them on the adjusted time and hooked up with some fast guys in that XC1 and may just increase that lead on the inside of the lap traffic.
And just
good job.
Take a look at how much chatter Liam Draper's bikes get. Oh, as Ben Kelly tries to make it happen. This is it.
Wow, great shot there from the live drone, and Ben Kelly did not follow through so many of those tight wood sections, and pays off for him right now. But almost immediately we start to see him trying to put a couple of bike links on Liam Draper. We might be seeing Ben Kelly try to get away and steal back this overall lead.
Yeah, Ben on that throttle now, as the 198 now tries to keep pace with Ben.
Yeah, maybe Draper can cast a line and reel back in Ben Kelly, just kind of pull that gap back out a little bit. Got to think maybe some friendly smack talk between the KTM boys. They're always kind of chirping back and forth on the podium. Grant Davis letting the big boys know that the XC2 guy is here, and always a lot of fun between them. But best believe if Ben Kelly's being told, Grant Davis, your overall leader, he's not stoked about that.
No. I mean, what race was that? Was that was Big Buck, wasn't it? Yeah, Big Buck. You could tell just by the body language of Ben Kelly, not stoked, man.
Well, he said it. He said it during the interview. He said, "I'm here to win overalls. I don't care what place I was in the XC1 class. I get paid for overall wins," and that's what he's trying to do. You know, that's one thing we don't talk about a lot. A lot of bonuses on the line for these guys, too. It's not just about bragging rights. It's not just about championship points. They're trying to make a living out here as well.
Kelly, very patient around that inside, yeah.
And that sand, maybe that the drone shot not quite doing it justice. I can't speak to that exact section, but I know just watching the starts all weekend, whether it was the ATVs, the youth bikes, didn't matter. You get into some of that outside sand, it will absolutely pull you in, and very, very difficult to get through. Saw a lot of front wheels tucked this morning.
Yeah, it's almost like a powdery sugar type sand, and even in those switchbacks just before the finish line that Jackson and I were talking about, that's part of it. Is you go from turning one direction, you try to turn back the other, and that front wheel goes just a little too far into the thick stuff, and you're down on the ground.
So battle for your overall physical lead on the track. Ben Kelly trying to do his thing. Shout out to Grant Davis and Angus Reardon. Reardon pretty stoked on today, rightfully so. Some familiar terrain for him. Expected to see big things out of him, and seeing it so far here today. And we're approaching that halfway point, about an hour 30 into what will be 3 hours when it's all said and done.
Curious to see what things are looking like beyond this top two. I know we had that big freight train of riders there. We just caught a glimpse of Davis. So we'll see where he is at in the mix of XC1 riders. There, I believe, is Wachowski we're watching on the drone.
Mike Wachowski having a solid 2025.
Oh, excuse me. Okay, so that's Ben Kelly out front leading the way.
Staying on that charge. Ben knows, man.
And just
run away and hide.
That's exactly what he's doing. Look how far back now. Can't even see Draper here on the drone shot. There he is, just now popping into the screen. Draper on screen now, your second place. Now we're going to get a chance to look back here and see what's been going on just beyond this. Catch a glimpse of our overall leader, Grant Davis.
Yeah, we got a good shot of that battle, seeing Ben Kelly make the pass on Draper. But we know those guys, I mean, they were wheel to wheel just behind him.
Okay, there's Wachowski. And there is Davis right there with him. Ricky Russell.
Ricky Russell still hanging.
So, wow, Grant Davis still continuing to work his way up into this XC1 class, now almost in a physical podium spot. And there we go. You see Ben Kelly on the left side of your screen. Liam Draper just now popping into the right side of your screen. That's the gap that's been able to be made over these last few miles.
Yeah, Ben in full sprint mode right now, and I'm sure I got to think he's getting pit boards letting him know, hey, you're OA physical, but, man, on adjusted time, it's that pesky Grant Davis back there doing his thing. So you can just see Ben Kelly right now racing like he's trying to track down someone physically in front of him, just pushing that pace. There is Draper going to check in. And, boy, for a split second, it's just the color. I was expecting, or I thought it was a white flag. I'm like, wait a second. That can't be, and it's not.
Hey, something interesting here. Ben Kelly and Grant Davis on lap 2 both turned a 29:34 as their lap time. And now going to wait for Grant Davis to check in. Kelly is through.
Goggles off for Kelly. He's coming in, going to grab some fuel. Looks like there's some water down the back there. Obviously a warm day here at Camp Coker today, but a very rushed pit stop. They want to get him out. They know they are battling the clock. And now Liam Draper in and out. Looks like Draper may have actually regained the lead with it. Oh, nope, actually there's, okay. Yep, Ben did get out ahead of him. I was thinking the Impro pits were after the KTM, but they're actually before there. Now here comes the rest. Grant Davis right on the rear wheel. Wachowski looks like he's coming in for a pit. Wachowski bypassing the pits. So Grant Davis going to really try to be in and out of here quick to hook back up with that whole group of big XC1 riders that he's battling with.
Yeah, Davis 10-second faster lap time that last time around than Ben Kelly.
Stu picking up time, as we know, pit last lap. So Stu able to kind of bull rush through there. Horse stomps his way through there.
Yep, just horse stomping guys out of the way. And there we see that is the gap live as you are watching it. The rider you see out front there, Ben Kelly on the 530 machine. Liam Draper on the 198 trying to track him down. The pass was made last lap, and now Ben Kelly trying to stretch it out. But Liam Draper doing everything he can to try to hang onto the rear wheel of Ben Kelly. Does not want to let him get away.
So Grant still leading it on the adjusted time.
Sitting around 28 seconds to my calculations back physically.
And there we see Gus Reardon working his way through. That is second place in the XC2 class. As we refresh our live timing and scoring, where did Reardon check in the overall?
Taking a look, 4th place, just ahead of Cody Barnes on the overall.
There we see now Caleb Russell and Johnny Gerard wheel to wheel coming in here. Johnny Gerard looking like he's suffering a little bit, laboring. Does not look good. That is not good body language from Gerard. Russell also did not look like he had his best stuff. Don't know if these two are just, did he have a crash? He is not in a hurry to get back out on course here. Oh, he's taking the bottle. Looks like he's going to go back out, but he is absolutely in salvage mode. He is suffering right now, folks. Don't know if this is a result of a crash, fatigue, not sure what's going on here, but maybe we'll see. Goggles coming off. We don't want to make speculations, but is there a chance there's a conversation going on? Are we seeing Johnny Gerard call it a day here?
That might be it right there. And Johnny Gallagher, that speaks Zach Heron on his way, by the way, to get a word in with the KTM factory pits. But Johnny Gerard is not a guy we see that in often. So you know if he's coming out of this ailment, whatever, he's got to be in some serious pain somewhere.
Yeah,
I mean that's not a very uncharacteristic of Gerard.
Well, and we saw, he and Caleb Russell obviously put a pretty big hurting on the field. Everybody except for Ben Kelly, and even at the end there, pulled away from Kelly just a month ago in the sands of Florida. Gerard has not yet stepped off the machine, but with the time he's kind of given up sitting here, we're starting to see the potential to finish in the top 20 and earn points. Obviously, Johnny Gerard can still do it. He's incredibly fast and very fit, but it's starting to get to the point where, I think they're discussing what's going to happen. We don't want to speculate. But just a month ago, we saw those two guys, absolutely put a hurting on everyone on one of the roughest tracks we've ever seen. And now they were kind of both struggling back there. If we check in and look where they're at in the overall when they checked in, Jackson.
As we watch go ahead and jump in there, Jackson, whenever Ben Kelly and Liam Draper battling on screen.
Russell 10th and Gerard 12th.
So they're, those guys, they were 1-2 just a month ago in the sands of Florida, and now Gerard stepping off the machine. Does not appear to be injured. I'm guessing, well, let's not guess. We'll wait and we'll get an update.
His jersey is torn.
But he is appearing to be at least done for the day today, and that is a big blow to the points and putting him in a position where, again, going to have to really score max points to get himself back in that championship hunt, because right now the rider who is leading the points in the XC1 class and second overall is out front and leading the way in this race physically. What is the split with Grant Davis? What is the overall looking like here, Jackson?
So taking a look here, physically are going to be about 29 seconds separating them roughly.
So Grant Davis is 29 seconds to the good ahead of Johnny Gerard on corrected time. So nearly Ben Kelly. And here we see on screen now, Liam Draper has actually gotten back to the rear wheel of Kelly. So when it looked like Ben Kelly was able to stretch it out, Liam Draper answers and charges back, putting himself in contention again to battle for this lead, XC1, and also trying to track that time back on our overall leader, who's sitting about 30 seconds behind them on track, but almost 30 seconds ahead of them on corrected time, Mikey.
This is something to watch, absolutely something to watch. And you know, it's interesting, it's not new news now. We're not shocked by this anymore. But where the first few times this was happening with the XC2 moving up into an overall position, I think the XC1 guys, certainly the factory guys, they know, they're aware of it. They're getting the pit boards that tell them. Now they're taking it very serious, and I think that's reflecting in what we're seeing out of Ben Kelly and Liam Draper right now. They're pushing like there's another XC1 guy 30 seconds ahead of them. Like, we got to go catch that quote-unquote ghost rider that is Grant Davis up there and get around him. There's two things.
There's two things, in my opinion, that are going on here. Number one, they know Grant Davis has them on corrected time. I'm sure they've got the pit boards, but they're probably realizing that he's not all that far physically behind them, and that's the nail in the coffin. If Grant Davis gets to these guys physically, it is so much harder to shake him. Right now, with that 30-second gap that they have on track, if they pick up the pace, he doesn't get the memo, or doesn't have an answer, they can potentially stretch back that 30 seconds they need. We saw Stu Baylor do it at Alabama. Obviously, Grant did have some struggles, but nonetheless, if he can see them, he knows when they pick up the pace. He knows when they start charging. Obviously, it's up to him whether he has an answer for it, but it takes the question, it takes the uncertainty out of it. So Grant Davis is doing just that. He's not happy to be just on correct. Look at that. Liam Draper almost connecting with the lapped rider there, and this is where things start to get interesting as they're getting thicker and thicker into lapped riders. But again, it's really one of those things where Grant Davis is charging. He wants to get to physically see the overall leaders. He's up into the top 5 riders and even top 3 physically, but these two still have a gap on him. He's trying to run them down and take that question mark out of the equation.
See how this one plays out. We are about an hour 38 in, 3 laps completed. We welcome back into the booth Zach Heron. Zach, you had a chance to run down to the KTM pits as we see Liam Draper right here on screen. Where was Ben Kelly? Did we miss him? Okay, we did miss him. So we did just miss Ben Kelly. Go ahead, Zach.
Yeah, so it's the highs and lows of racing. Unfortunately, Johnny Gerard does sound like went down and hit his head pretty hard. And so not sure whether the bell is rung and maybe a little dizzy. Looked like he was kind of holding his stomach as well. So
look at this. Grant Davis physically third and charging, trying to run down those leaders. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there, Zach. And then it is that Duvall. And what a performance he's putting in here today. Looking very strong on that racecraft racing machine. Then it's Stu Baylor, Mike Witkowski trying to track down Thad and also trying to run back up. So it looks like Grant Davis has taken that let's mark Stu Baylor model out of the window and thrown it out the window and said, okay, no, I need to go after the leaders. They're right up there ahead of me. Ricky Russell, also a very solid ride today on that Triumph, up into that 8th place spot overall. Now is the gap back to the next riders, looking like we should be waiting on Caleb Russell, Josh Toth. We know Johnny Gerard has dropped back and is now calling it day. Is that the official
he walked into the rig. I think they're calling it a day. Wasn't able to talk to Johnny himself, but the whole team said, not sure if it's from the injury to the head itself. It looked like he was kind of overheating as well, possibly from just being so frantically trying to get back up, but nonetheless looks like it's the end of the day for the number one.
So there's Cody Barnes, and just ahead of him, Gus Reardon. So that is the battle over second place in XC2. Those guys sitting 4th and 5th in the overall on corrected time. So charging up very high into the overall today, again, are the XC2 guys. And this time, it's not just Grant Davis, Gus Reardon, and Cody Barnes along for the ride with him, a little ways behind, but still charging and putting in solid top 5 rides. Caleb Russell missing a handguard. It's kind of a trademark thing for Caleb. He likes to bounce those off of trees, but sitting back there in that 10th place spot overall, you know he's not going to be happy with that, but just not looking like he maybe has the stuff right now to close the gap and get back up and battle closer to that top 5. Man, big shakeup with Johnny Gerard. You know, our defending series champion. Not the start to the season. Obviously, Florida, a very impressive win there in the sands of Florida. But, you know, the other races, those mud races, just not getting the good, solid finishes. We know he had some mechanical issues at round 1. Went out and fought, trying to get into the top 20. Was unable to do so. Stayed out there all day long after losing a ton of time in the middle part of the race. And we watched him move up the ranks. He was in the, in the 40-50 OA. Then he was up into the 30s, and he just wasn't able to make it. I think he made it to 24th or whatever it was overall, just unable to score any points. So essentially, the bummer part of that is it's almost the same as not racing. Yeah. So now this will make 2 non-point scoring days in the first 4 rounds for Johnny Gerard. Again, making very tough to try to come back and defend that championship. But we know he's capable of reeling off wins, so you sure can't count that guy out.
Well, and you touched on it a little bit earlier, Johnny, from when you were out there racing, the deceivingly square-edged and just abrupt bumps that these riders are dealing with. We're seeing kind of odd little mistakes, things like Gerard going down, smacking his head. Caleb Russell, whether it's trademarked or not, clearly got a little off-kilter, clipped a tree. We're starting to see this track start to rear its ugly head and reach back up and give these riders some unexpected challenges just off of how much it's changed in the first hour, 40 minutes.
Well, how much it changed, and we're still, these guys are starting, we're making assumptions. I don't know if we've been told officially that we're looking at potentially a 6-lap race. If that is the case, I mean, this is going to be absolutely brutal at the end of this, because the track just keeps getting rougher and rougher. And guys, I'm a novice dirt bike rider. Well, technically B class, but nonetheless.
Come on.
No. But my point to this is, I was watching riders that were, going faster than me and some that were going slower than me, and the amount of times that I saw that the bars just get completely ripped out of someone's hands, or you come around a corner and next thing you know, there's a rider just on the gas and suddenly they're facing backwards on the trail, basically facing at you, and this track will jump up and bite you like really nothing I've ever seen. Again, just that square edge, the roots, you really have to be on point with your setup and really just be in control of that machine, because you have to be able to react so quickly. The track is just brutal.
And it does sound like we got confirmed a 6-lap race, so this is going to be a long one, going to be brutal.
Looking at the times, with the time completed for 3 laps for our leader, Grant Davis, let's get the official elapsed time.
1:29.
So 1:29. So we're going to be looking at, I think we're going to see these guys are going to slow down, maybe not much, but we're going to be looking at right at, if not a few minutes over, a 3-hour race, which in conditions like this today, it's warm, the track is rough. It's going to take its toll.
And we saw, some evidence of that this morning with the AM race. Obviously, significantly more riders out there. By the way, shout out to Brandy Richards. I know she was taken out. Hopefully, she's better on the mend. But my point is, a lot of that happened after the white flag. You start to get not necessarily lethargic, but it becomes you against the track, and you get all those variables. This place is certainly living up to the hype.
There we just saw Fad Duvall come by, and so Duvall has gotten around.
Yeah, it looked like
Grant
Duvall
Davis.
got around Davis.
And now Stu Baylor is getting pretty close to getting back up in the mix there with Grant Davis. So maybe now the roles have reversed, and Stu Baylor is marking Grant Davis, and I think that may have been just Witkowski that came by there as well. So now Stu Baylor on the hunt, trying to get back to Grant Davis, a rider that has come from behind past him, and Ricky Russell still looking good on that triumph out there. This could be a breakthrough day for Ricky Russell.
Yeah, very good ride by Ricky. Man, I think these the old dogs have had enough of that young pup of Grant. He's getting some mano-y-mano battles out here. It's only going to get tougher for you, Grant, but I think he welcomes that. So a strange day indeed. Grant Davis, your leader on the adjusted time. And
on screen, the battle, what
yes,
we believe is still the battle over second place in XC2. There is Gus Reardon. Opened up a little bit of a gap over. Nope, there he is, the 99 of Cody Barnes on that Phoenix Racing Honda, still charging and inside of Gus Reardon.
Oh, it's going to be a good one. So Grant Davis leading on adjusted time. Ben Kelly in the one spot. Liam Draper pushing, trying to make up that gap between the XC1 and the XC2 class. And Ben Kelly trying to put a stamp on this one. Nice little pit stop there for him. A tough break for Johnny Gerard, out for the rest of this race. But nonetheless, we got some good race in the second half is about to begin here in just a moment. We'll get a short break and a word from our sponsors.
Everywhere but the seat. The seat is leather.
Alan, we get it. You love your bike. We do too.
That's why we're America's #1 motorcycle insurer.
But do you have to wedge it into everything?
What? I don't do that. This reminds me of my bike. The Wolf was about the size of my new motorcycle. Have you seen it, by the way? Happy birthday, Grandma!
Really?
Look how the brushstrokes follow the line of the gas tank.
Hey!
Hey! Brought my +1. Jamie.
Every generation believes they've invented the best way. With age comes wisdom. We've come to realize that every piece of knowledge is learned, passed down from those generous and patient enough to teach.
Take a look.
Legacy. It's not about leaving something behind to be remembered by. It's realizing that the future lies within the next generation.
Let's call it a night. All right.
The nature of true progress is humbly building something bigger than yourself. Rocky Mountain ATV MC. This is our legacy.
Progressive GNCC Racing is brought to you by Progressive. Progressive could save you hundreds of dollars on your automobile and motorcycle insurance. Specialized E-Turbo bicycles. It's you, only faster. RockyMountainATVMC.com. Get ready. And welcome back to GNCC Live here on RacerTV.com. Well, hey, GNCC, like all motorsports, can be dangerous. That's part of our riders meeting, if you did not know. I'm sure you did. But part of that, and like I said, it is dangerous. We have the man for the job, SOS Safety on Site, and Dr. Tanner. And, hey, we had a chance to catch up with Dr. Tanner and check out the rig, see what it's all about here at GNCC.
Dr. Mark Tanner here with SOS. We're going to take a look at the medical rig. All right, so this is our medical triage area. We've got stuff for splinting, washing out eyes, laceration repairs. We got some splints. We got some walking boots for any kind of fractures. We got crutches, knee splints, wrist splints, slings. We got injectables, laceration, sutures. So probably the most common injury would be lacerations, abrasions. So we're able to wash people out, sew up complex lacerations. Then you got fractures. We can reduce fractures. All right, let's go inside and check out the x-ray machine. This is the portable x-ray. It's the Micro C by Oxos Medical. We're able to do extremities, so wrists, elbows, shoulder, knee, ankles, feet. You know, we get very good images, very low radiation. We keep IVs for emergency hydration. This saves you a trip to the ER. So we can do this and we can do it quickly within 15-20 minutes and we're done. So we have a handheld ultrasound machine. This is good for small things. We can look at ligament injuries. We can look for IV placement, and not strong enough to do like an abdominal exam. So our plan is to get a full strength ultrasound by the end of the year. Thanks for joining us. So in summary, SOS, Safety on Site, is a 501c3, so all donations are tax deductible. All care is free to the racers, so we need donations, we need sponsorship. If you're interested in contacting us, we're going to have a sheet. It's got a QR code for a donation site, and you can contact us if you want to be a supporter. Thanks for joining us, and see you at the races.
There you go. SOS, Safety on Site.
And it's great peace of mind for the racers. You know, a lot of times people don't feel comfortable going to a local emergency room. You just don't know what kind of care you're going to get. Having someone who's just, you know, has a great reputation, knows what they're doing, and understands this sport, and they'll be able to, you know, take a look at you and assess the situation and determine, do you need immediate care? Do you need to head to, you know, an urgent care or an emergency room, or are you able to transport yourself home, see your family doctor or an orthopedic in your own area? It's a big confidence booster for these guys.
It's very true. You know, it's nice to have somebody that is familiar. I mean, let alone you tell a doctor you have a heart rate of like 180 for 3 hours. They're going to say you're insane. Here we go. New future. How about that? Lap times, last lap. Grant Davis, the Playboy, 29.50. Ben Kelly, about a 30 flat. This is cool. I like this. Kind of puts in perspective what you are looking at. And Thad Duvall, hauling the mail,
Thad
and Mike Wachowski.
Yeah, they're back in 6th and 7th overall, putting in a burner, and that's why we saw them jump up, you know, and really get close back to Grant Davis. They're right on his rear wheel, basically. And that was actually even coming into this lap, so they've picked up the pace even further now.
But, man, that just it tells the story a little bit.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe you guys know this better than me. Thad on the KTM 350, correct?
I believe so.
I think so.
I don't know that. I think because he made reference in one of his social media posts that he's been riding Big Betty, the 450, I think, for moto during the week. But I believe on race weekends he is on a 350 machine. And here is the battle for the lead. Ben Kelly out front on the 530. FMF Red Bull KTM pushing the pace, leading the way, but Liam Draper has his hooks in, and he is not letting Ben get out of sight. He's right there. Ben started to gap him a little bit last lap, but Liam able to match the pace now and getting the tow along right there behind Ben Kelly. And this is the battle for the physical lead. These guys at a deficit, last we checked, Zach, of about 30 seconds to Grant Davis, who is coincidentally about 30 seconds physically behind them. So he's trying to make up the gap to get to these guys. I just don't see the same intensity that we saw a lap ago. I think Ben, you know, maybe realizing, hey, we're only halfway through this, now approaching almost 4 laps complete of a 6-lap race. Maybe this is where we see the batteries get recharged a little bit and get ready for one last final sprint in the last lap and a half or so.
Yeah, I think you're 100% right. Even as we take now a look at your overall leader, Grant Davis. Even Davis, I don't feel like is quite the same amount of charge at the moment.
He has opened up the gap, though. Look at this. Now it is Stu Baylor who's gotten around Thad Duvall. Baylor up physically into 3rd place, XC1, and 4th overall, and he's trying to get back to the rear wheel of Grant Davis, and we now have kind of lost a big gap back here. Last we saw, Wachowski, Duvall, we're right there, and look at this. Now here's Wachowski.
Duvall might have gotten in front of Grant Davis in that one shot.
Yeah,
I'm not 100% sure.
If that's the case, then I think you may be right. We may have missed him on camera. We'll have to go back and look. But there is Ricky Russell. So don't hit the panic button if you're a Thad Duvall fan. I think we just missed him while we were watching the other riders come through. Nope. there is Thad Duvall. So he has dropped a bunch of time and several positions there in that couple miles of racetrack. So now physically it is Grant Davis back into that number 3 spot. And now here comes Gus Reardon in that number 2 spot in XC2. And here comes his shadow, Cody Barnes, the 99 machine, just matching him every step of the way so far here today.
Got to wonder whether or not there was a mistake from Duvall. Like we said, a lot of unexpected things happening to some riders out there. Track reaching up and grabbing them, but man, this battle pretty much been a nice little yo-yo back and forth. Ben starts to stretch it out, and then Liam's able to reel it back in, and also in that battle for the lead, but not physically right there, Grant Davis continuing to push the pace. Stu Baylor chasing just behind him.
Yeah, so that's the big shakeup right now. Stu Baylor appears to be the man on the move. If he's able to reel Grant Davis in, we know that puts him only about 30 seconds behind that lead duo of Ben Kelly and Liam Draper that we're now watching again on screen. That's Draper in the all-white there on the blue Yamaha just ahead of him. Ben Kelly again starting to stretch it out a little bit. The lead has gotten bigger since the last camera shot. Lappers coming in clutch here for Ben Kelly, able to use those guys as picks in some of the tighter sections of racetrack and get that lead to be a little bit bigger. Ricky Russell now almost to the rear wheels of Mike Wachowski. Again, that 450 Triumph looking good out here today, and Ricky Russell looking like he's on rails.
Stu will have to pit again as well.
Oh, that's right.
Pit early,
yep.
So we will see another, at least a quick splash of fuel for Stu Baylor before this is over.
Watching Ben Kelly here through these tighter sections, up on the pegs, maneuvering the machine around. Gotta wonder, I know the off-road program over there at Club MX still relatively new. These guys helping to get that finally tuned in, but not far from here. Chesterfield, South Carolina, here Society Hill, only a couple hours difference. Gotta wonder whether conditions somewhat favorable, similar route systems, whatever it is. Ben Kelly seems right at home out in front, and trying to take a look in some of these spots to see if I see Draper, if he's continued to lose a couple of bike lanes here or there. Surprised to see the lappers working in favor of Ben Kelly at the moment. Usually we see the leader get caught up a little bit. There you saw Liam Draper still in that number 2 spot, but maybe back just about another bike length or so. Ben tucking to the inside through that section, not wanting to get high up into the loose sand.
You can see every time Ben Kelly stretches it out, it looks like Liam Draper goes back to that moto sprint pace and just tries to get back to the rear wheel. We haven't really seen him put in a push to try to get back around Ben Kelly, maybe perhaps content to let Ben set the pace, but he definitely doesn't want to let him get out of sight right now.
Chess match afoot. Both these guys still pushing, though.
And the fatigue is setting in at this point. I mean, we're 2 hours in. You know, these guys are finally tuned and very fit athletes. But this track, we've talked about it, sneaky rough. At this point, it's not even sneaky rough. It is overtly rough. You can see just how rough it is watching these guys and the bikes just jumping around underneath them. But these two right now doing the best job of the XC1 guys of making it work. But Grant Davis lurks back there about 30 seconds back and having a lead of about 30 seconds on corrected time.
So we watch and wait here at the 11-mile mark.
Looking like maybe that gap has opened up a little bit over Grant Davis.
I thought for a moment this was Red Dog here with that signature backwards hat. Like they put him out there working.
Might have been. He looked like he was ready to get in the mix. I don't think he wanted to ride, but he definitely wanted to go get.
Guys, if we haven't missed Grant Davis here, this is a lot more than 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Something has changed. Yeah,
there he is. Davis.
I think they're going to be back close to potentially having him beat on corrected time. So they have definitely picked the pace up, the lead duo of Ben Kelly and Liam Draper.
Well, and you'd mentioned, Johnny, you could, or maybe it was Uzak. It doesn't matter. Bottom line was Grant Davis, even his body language looked like he was starting to feel that fatigue.
What do we call that when Ben Kelly and Liam Draper pick up the pace 2 hours in? Grown man.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, 100%.
And that's not by any means a shot at Grant Davis.
No.
This guy's got 2 overall wins. He is the current points leader. And I believe, again, in my personal opinion, it comes down to that question of Grant Davis can't see these guys. Yes, he's tired. It's a lot easier to dig when you can see the target you're trying to achieve. He's kind of there in no man's land right now, just living off pit boards, you know, and now he's going to get a pit board that what was a 30-second lead for him. We're going to find out here in a matter of just about a minute when they check in for what will be 4 laps complete. Have they been able to completely erase the deficit? I don't know yet, but they've definitely made a big change, and a big chunk of that deficit is now gone.
Well, and even if it's not grown man moves, it's that grown man mentality of, as hard as they were pushing early in this race, maybe they weren't given 100%. Maybe they knew, hey, look, he might be this far out early, but we still have 2 hours. We still have an hour to go. Now that we are getting into crunch time, seems like those two locked into a battle of their very own. Grant Davis maybe not got enough gas in the tank to match that intensity.
All right, this is it. Coming to the final chicanes. Ben Kelly up ahead of Liam Draper. We're going to keep hitting that refresh button feverishly as soon as Grant Davis comes through, because what we are looking to find out is, has these two done enough? Have they opened up more than the 60-second gap, give or take, that they need to regain the overall top 2 positions, or has Grant Davis kept enough pace to keep these guys within distance to maintain his overall lead? Ben Kelly coming through. This should just be a flyby this lap through the pro pit area by that KTM semi here in just a couple more chicanes. He stopped last lap, got some water down the back. I think we likely will see him take some hydration. It is warm here today. I think we're going to see him reach out at some point, take a hydration bottle, and there it is. Mom with the clean handoff.
Got it.
Mama Kelly getting that handoff to him, and Ben is on his way with some hydration in hand. And again, starting to open up a little bit over this guy right here. And Draper also with the hydration bottle hanging. Oh, man, on the rear wheel, hard on the throttle, trying to track Ben Kelly back down. And we're waiting, watching. Have we seen Grant Davis check in yet, Zach?
Grant Davis does. Just now checks in, and he is still in the overall lead. Maybe 15 seconds or so. Double check my math here, Mikey. Make sure I'm not seeing this wrong. The gap between Kelly and Draper only about 7 seconds.
So if we go on a lapse time, we'll do some quick math here and figure out exactly what Grant Davis's lead is, but he has done enough to at least maintain that overall lead for now.
See, 2 hours, 14 seconds for Ben Kelly total elapsed time, and then 1 hour, 59 minutes, and 58 seconds. So about 15, 16 seconds.
Yep. There you go. So 15 seconds, give or take, is the tail of the tape right now. It was 29 seconds last lap. So those guys are able to pull back 14 seconds. Ben Kelly and Liam Draper over their XC2 combatant, Grant Davis, who's back there lurking, charging, trying to get close enough to these guys to be able to see them. But right now they've been able to pull 14 seconds back. But he does still have the advantage of 15 seconds ahead once we do that time correction. What a battle.
This is going to be one when that checkered flag flies. These guys are going to be sucking air pretty hard.
And I do feel like, depending on how things materialize the next 2 laps, we may not be able to call this one, until we actually see some XC2 guys come in, unless, Ben Kelly and Liam Draper are able to continue to stretch this out. Right now, we're going to have to wait for Grant Davis to cross the line to determine who is the overall winner.
Stu Baylor has checked in that 4 spot, puts him 3rd in that XC2 or XC1 class. Has Reardon checked in? Yeah.
Yep, Gus Reardon just behind him in the 5th place spot. Ricky Russell in 6th overall. Mike Wachowski 7th, and Cody Barnes had yet to check in. Let's see. No, now Cody Barnes jumps up to the 6th place spot just behind Gus Reardon on the overall charts.
So those guys falling back a spot in the overall by way of Stu Baylor, that big charge he's put in, able to work his way back from 6th overall. Actually, I think he was 8th overall last lap, all the way up to now holding that 4th place position in the overall. And what is the gap between Draper and Baylor?
Draper and Baylor, the gap is 59.3 seconds.
Man. There you go. So he's still got quite a bit of time to make up if he wants to get into this battle for the lead. But right now, holding on to that final podium position in XC1 and 4th place in the overall.
And I'll be honest, it only showed about 7 seconds, the gap between Kelly and Draper. That might have opened up a little bit since they've crossed the line as well.
So our top 3 have checked in both XC1 and XC2. Ricky Russell also checked in. Mike Wachowski checked in. And it looks like Thad Duvall has checked in now also.
Let's see. Thad Duvall. No, Duvall yet to check in. Wachowski in 8th. Caleb Russell in 9th. The only riders to check in so far.
Oh, so Russell has gotten around of all that. So the struggles that we thought we had seen on screen there, somewhere between the 5-mile marker shot and then again at the 9, something happened in there, and Thad Duvall went from the rider on the charge and had gotten all the way to the rear wheels of Grant Davis, and actually I think had gotten around him in one camera shot, and now has dropped back outside the top 10 overall.
So there you go, your overall lead. Grant Davis on the adjusted time, turning, this was their elapsed time, a 1:59.58. Ben Kelly, 2:00.14.
Yep, there you go. So a little over 16 seconds is the gap as they run. Ben Kelly looking solid, standing up, that very signature riding style. And again, you can see him opening up those corners, not taking the main lines. But now the option lines are starting to turn into the main lines because others are catching on. Craig DeLong, quick start today, but falling back a little bit now as he checks in 12th place in the overall. 2 more of our XC2 riders have checked in. Josh Toth up to 9th place overall and 4th in that XC2 class. And Jason Tino, a good ride for him here today, 5th place in that XC2. This is his debut XC2 season. Made a lot of noise, top amateur quite a few times last year, battling in that 258 class, riding for that Landers Racing Gas team. So Tino, solid ride for him here today. 11th place overall and 5th place in that XC2 class. Then Craig DeLong has checked in now in 12th place overall. The dust just kind of hanging at this point. There's Cody Barnes. I assume we saw Gus Reardon already go by, was looking over, not up at the screen. My bad on that one, but that is the battle. Those guys separated by not much at all, and they've been that way. It's almost like you could throw a rope between those two all day long. Gus Reardon trying to make moves, and every time he's able to, Cody Barnes has an answer.
Yeah, Barnes been hanging in there with him.
Still no sign yet of Duvall checking in. Evan Smith and Strang have come across the line, so got to start to wonder exactly how bad that situation was with Duvall. Like we talked about earlier, Johnny, just blink of an eye, things can go completely awry out here especially.
Yeah, he was still circulating when we saw him at the 9. So unless there was a bike issue or a him issue, we should see him check in. But he had given up a number of spots and quite a bit of time from that shot at the 5 until we saw him at the 9. There is the 5.57 of Caleb Russell. Are both handguards gone now?
It sure looked like it from that shot.
He loves to knock those things off. Sitting back there in that 10th place overall, still charging, trying to get some points today, but surely not where he intended to be when the day started today. This track is just taking its toll on all the competitors.
Yeah, it's interesting, Johnny. We talked about it a little bit in the pre-show. We talked about it off and on this weekend. Is, you know, Snowshoe and Palatka down in Florida, the Wild Boar, are the ones that everybody argues, not argues, but, you know, it's, oh, these are the toughest. And then just over the past few years, it seems like Camp Coker's entered the chat, and this year I think has solidified that.
Yeah, I mean, Snowshoe's a very different animal. Yeah. It's got some technicality to it. It's not really. Here is Craig DeLong there running in the number 12 spot overall, and that would make him, I believe, 8th in XC1. It's just different. Okay, here is your battle for the lead on screen. There is Ben Kelly, and here comes Liam Draper. Got a lap rider in between, but still looking to be around that 7 seconds or so. So Liam Draper right now able to match the pace of your physical leader, Ben Kelly. They look like they're pushing the pace. Will they be able to continue to pull back time on the XC2 leader, Grant Davis, who has them right now by a little over 16 seconds on corrected time? We're going to put our producer, Adam Gordon, OPAG, on the case and get a split. Once Grant Davis comes through, he'll let us know, and we will fill you guys in. Yeah, Snowshoe's different. It's more technical. It does get rough. Of course, there is Grant Davis coming, but not. It's just not as. It's not as much of a grind on your 45 seconds. So still around that 15 seconds then. So maybe they pulled back a second or two, but Grant Davis stabilizing that gap right now. These tracks just take so much out of you physically. They're not as hard to physically make it around in terms of just making it over the obstacles. There's really no major obstacles here, but it's just the square edge, the chop, the deep sand whoops, and the uneven, uncertain ground surfaces here are what just really make this track a challenge. Now we're continuing to see, we've had some of our top amateur riders check in as we see Stu Baylor now, and that is a full push mode from Stu Baylor. He is doing everything he can to try to reel in not only Grant Davis in front of him, but also the top two in that XC1 class. Jojo Cunningham and Lane Whitmer have checked in 16th and 17th overall, and we see Thad Duvall continuing to drop down the overall standings, as well as Johnny Gerard. That is just now updating. We know he is actually out of the race and will not be scoring any points today, but Thad Duvall on the verge of falling outside of the top 20 overall here after a great first hour and a half in this race.
And it does look like Thad has checked in with 4 laps complete, so checks in, at least for the moment, in the number 19 spot. We'll see if that changes up with any of our top amateur or XC2 guys.
Ricky Russell now.
And his shadow, Mike Wachowski.
I think he was he not behind?
Yeah, I think Ricky was charging forward and got around Wachowski.
Yep. There we go. And here it is, the battle over second place in that XC2 class. Gus Reardon just going by, and Cody Barnes there in the number 2 spot. Those two have not been separated by more than 5 seconds all day long.
It's been beautiful to watch. Well, as we watch the battles unfold in the XC1 and the XC2 and for the overall, hey, how about it? Progressive, the title sponsor of GNCC. Oh, there's our Blair Witch Project shot. I love it. But no, nonetheless, all jokes aside, Progressive, our title sponsor, GNCC. And, man, check out the QR code. Scan that. Save money on all your insurance needs. Progressive, the largest insurer of motorcycles. But, hey, guess what? Campers, RVs, they insure those as well. And if you are a part of the GNCC Racing Nation, if you just race locals, odds are you have a camper, you got a trailer, something you're getting to and from the racetrack with. And what better way to show some love to the insurance company that supports you in the GNCC Racing Nation, and that is Progressive. Check out Progressive Campground, scan the QR code, and see how Progressive Insurance can save you money on your camper insurance.
And they can insure all your toys. You got a boat, you got a golf cart, you got all kinds of. I know the way this GNCC families are. They got a little bit of everything.
100%. Yeah, that's very true. Flow will get you taken care of.
Don't go with the flow. Go with flow.
Go with flow. That's pretty good. Progressive, myself, Zach Aaron, Jackson Burrell, even Johnny Gallagher. We're available for voiceovers. Hit us up anytime. We're not as good looking as the actors they have in the commercials, but our mothers all told us we have a face for radio, so hook us up.
We do what we can with what we got.
I would argue that I'm better looking than my voice. I don't care for my voice.
I think you've got a great voice, Scotty. Don't downplay it.
I've got a face for radio.
Yeah, I do too. It's fine. It's all good.
Man, I've really been surprised. You know, we knew coming in, obviously, there's been local and kind of area-wide bans on burning.
Yeah.
We knew it was dry, but I just did not expect the way the dust's been hanging and continuing. Usually at this course, we see the moisture start to come up from the ground. We talked about that yesterday pre-show. We're going to see moisture come up, throughout the race. We've not seen that today.
No, not at all.
I think all the moisture that's in the ground, we've got it out, and now we're just beating up the same clay. Now, leader on screen, Ben Kelly. And that seems to be a little more intensity than we've seen here recently. I think we're starting to see that final push to the finish, but Liam Draper matching him, and he's right there. Still got him in sight, and still close enough that he's able to use Ben Kelly as a tow.
So those guys, we continue to watch course their way through the lap traffic. Donde está the 922 at Grant Davis? Last time we saw, sitting right at that, 45-second mark, so 15 would be the difference.
Yeah, they've been just kind of hovering a little bit, and you got to wonder whether or not Ben Kelly's got a plan or a certain point in the race where he's like, okay, from this point on, it's an all-out sprint, and maybe Liam Draper throwing a wrench in that plan, saying, hey, well, I'm going to sprint a little quicker than you are and try to get around you before we start that last dash to the finish.
There he is.
As we see Grant Davis on screen, still looking like he's around that 45-second, watching the clock there. This is the Liam Draper that we saw at the end of 2024.
Yeah, very much.
He was able to just kind of he didn't win any of those races, but he was able to hang right with the lead pack, whether it be 1 riders, 2 riders, 3 riders, and he just consistently put himself in good positions. just now kind of seeming to hit his stride in 2025. Rode very well in Florida, just kind of got started a little too late. Came up to, I believe, a 4th place in XC1, but not able to get on that overall podium. And there is Stu Baylor. So he definitely has not made up that time on Grant Davis that he was pushing, trying to do so. If anything, maybe Grant Davis opening it up a little bit again over Stu Baylor. Next up, we should see the 212 of Ricky Russell. Has he been able to maintain that gap over Mike Witkowski? Witkowski really, sitting back 8th place overall doesn't sound great. He's a guy that, he wants to be on the podium overall and in class, but it's really just been a very, very solid start to 2025 for Mike Witkowski.
Yeah, Witkowski, it's kind of interesting. We've mentioned his name so many times with Liam Draper and the battles they had in that XC2 class, and it's starting to look that way, or at least develop that way for that kind of potential in the XC1 as Witkowski. I mean, hey, he comes into today 5th in points on the season. He's rocking that national number 8, so Witkowski making progress. I know still early in the season, but nonetheless still progress.
Well, and he's gotten up on those podiums a few times as well. And
he's gotten up to the rear wheel of Ricky Russell.
So trying to get, I believe, back around Ricky Russell. Ricky making a pass, and looks like that was Gus Reardon just behind. And, of course, Cody Barnes hanging tough. So
that's a freight train right there.
Now, this is where the whole XC1, XC2 thing becomes interesting, because obviously Gus Reardon and Cody Barnes are ahead of Ricky Russell and Mike Witkowski already on corrected time, but Witkowski and Russell are in a battle for position on the track. Reardon and Barnes are in a position battle on the track, but now those battles have come together, and if you're Ricky Russell and Mike Witkowski, you're not likely to want to pull over and let those guys go by, because you may let your competitor by, but at the same time, it's going to be interesting to watch.
No blue flags out here.
Nope.
No.
They got to race their way through.
It's going to be fun to watch for sure as get down to the last little bit, less than an hour remaining here for round 4, the FMF Camp Coker Bullet. Ben Kelly out front leading the way, looking for some smooth real estate as he tries to open that gap up back over Liam Draper. And this is the man they're all trying to open the gap over. Grant Davis playing with a little bit of house money, about 15 seconds worth. And we're going to find out how it all shakes up as we come back on RacerTV.com after this.
Everywhere but the seat. The seat is leather.
Alan, we get it. You love your bike. We do too.
That's why we're America's #1 motorcycle insurer.
But do you have to wedge it into everything?
What? Don't do that. This reminds me of my bike. The Wolf was about the size of my new motorcycle. Have you seen it, by the way? Happy birthday, Grandma!
Really?
Look how the brushstrokes follow the line of the gas tank.
Hey!
Hey! Brought my +1. Jamie.
Every generation believes they've invented the best way. With age comes wisdom. We've come to realize that every piece of knowledge is learned, passed down from those generous and patient enough to teach.
Take a look.
Legacy. It's not about leaving something behind to be remembered by. It's realizing that the future lies within the next generation.
Let's call it a night. All right.
The nature of true progress is humbly building something bigger than yourself. Rocky Mountain ATV MC. This is our legacy.
Whatever you drive, however you drive. AMSOIL specially engineers lubricants to maximize power, performance, and protection in your vehicles, so you can work hard and play hard with confidence. Order online at amsoil.com.
Progressive GNCC Racing is brought to you by Progressive. Progressive could save you hundreds of dollars on your automobile and motorcycle insurance. Specialized E-Turbo bicycles. It's you, only faster. Rocky Mountain ATVMC.com. Get ready.
All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to round number 4 of the 2025 Progressive GNCC Racing Series, the FMF Camp Coker Bullet here in Society Hill, South Carolina. Fitness, one of the key talking points when it comes to GNCC racers, Jackson, and all of these riders, no matter what class they're in, are in incredible shape. But one of our fan favorites, Stu Baylor, sat down and chatted with us a little bit about his fitness journey off of the motorcycle and how that's transferred to his racing on track.
It was June of last year, June of 2024. I stood on the scale, and I had been doing a lot of snacking with a pregnant wife, and yes, I'm going to blame her on that one. Every time, you're traveling with GNCCs and National Enduros, and stop at every gas station, she needed a snack, and I equally needed to have one. So kind of let myself go in a few months span, put on like 35 pounds last year. Granted, during that time was actually when I was winning those couple rounds and doing my best, but I stood on the scale. I didn't like what I saw, and I got the news that we were going to be the factory team. I got the contract. Everything started shaping up. And at that point, I just started, that June time frame is when we were just ironing out the details with Ryan Sipes. So I set these new goals for myself, and it was what was I in 2021? I look back at my Strava. I look back at what I was doing at that time, what my diet was like at that time, what my weight was at that time. And I had a goal, and that goal was almost 50 pounds from where I was sitting in June of last year, and was able to cut down about 20 pounds by doing some fasting and eating no carbs during the summer of last year, and then went back to a traditional diet for the end of the race season, and then I cut another 30 pounds in the off season. Same thing, fasting and limiting carbs, or like literally no carbs, doing full carnivore. So the mix of that is brutal, and adding training into it was difficult, but was able to maintain and get back to where I was in 21, where I felt that I was the most dominant. So if it's got something to do with it, we'll soon know. Obviously, last weekend, starting out the year with a win there at Sumter. The last few years I've not won at that round, so it's good to be back and good to feel like I should and I can win every race that I line up to. Like, that's the goal, is not knowing that you will win, but knowing that you have the ability to win every race you line up to, and that's what I feel every true championship guy has. Like, there's only a few, and it's, like I say, it's that knowledge of, I know I can show up and I know I can win on any given week. It definitely changes my suspension. So what's wild, though, is I'm actually on a stiffer setting than I was the end of last year when I was larger, or the middle of last year when I was larger. My speed on a moto track is definitely more. I would say in the woods it doesn't affect me as much, being lighter. But I know that with sciatica and age, that just continues to go up no matter what you do. My age is definitely catching up with me. My injuries from being younger are catching up. I think being lighter definitely seems to help those. I haven't had my sciatic flare-ups like I was last year. Like, there was a lot of people didn't know. I didn't really talk about it, but I have a couple slip disc and some back problems that just from years of abuse, and I think being lighter has tremendously helped that. I mean, there was days leading up to the first round last year where I had to drag myself in the pickup truck because I couldn't lift my leg up. Just like, your mind would tell you to do something, but the nerves in your leg are not doing it. And it's crazy. Like, I've always thought mind over matter, but apparently you can't mind over matter age, and it comes for all of us. So being lighter has definitely helped me with that.
So cool to hear a little bit of behind the scenes there from Stu Baylor at what's been going into his program, and a little bit of weight loss there we're hearing from him. Didn't know about the back injuries as well, so good to hear. But, Zach, we have had a battle on the track as Liam Draper now starting to close in on Ben Kelly.
Yeah, here we go. The Ampro Yamaha of Liam Draper starting to creep forward. We were wondering how much he had in the tank during that long period he was leading. Ben Kelly chased him down, then made a pass, but only maintained a couple of seconds in front of him. Now the table for two is set, and Liam Draper is ready to make a charge back towards the front. Don't forget, in the back of their minds, Jackson, they've also got to stay in front of that guy, the number one of Grant Davis, out of your XC2 field, about 15 seconds or so. The last we heard, the gap he has on corrected time for the overall race lead. But Liam Draper starting to charge forward, Johnny. This is what we wanted to see, a tooth and nail fight all the way to the checkers.
Yeah, and I think the way these guys are riding right now, looking like maybe they're pulling back a few more seconds on Grant Davis. But Grant Davis surely getting pit boards, and this kid has speed in bunches. So I think we're going to see Grant, at some point, we talked about this before, I wasn't aware that Grant's mentality was really, the overall wins. I mean, obviously, of course, you want to win the races you can. He's the overall points leader. He made mention his father did at the banquet last year that they wanted to go for an overall title from XC2 this year. But at the same time, they pay this man for XC1 wins and an XC1 championship as well. So this is the thing we've talked about. It's kind of you have that yin and yang of, do you protect that XC1 win? He's got a pretty large gap. As you look back right now, Gus Reardon last lap was about a minute behind Grant Davis. You don't want to throw away an XC2 win, but at the same time, he's still leading the overall on corrected time. So it's that balance of, what do? Do you keep pushing the pace if you're starting to get tired and you're sketchy? If you're tired and it's just pushing through the pain, that's one thing. When you start to make mistakes, lose the handlebars, that kind of stuff, you got to kind of say, okay, let's live to fight another day sometimes.
Going to be interesting to see for sure. And on top of that, a younger rider as well. We don't, not that these guys aren't smart or know how to make good decisions out there, but a lot of times there are some of those, you get caught in the heat of the moment type situations, especially for younger riders.
I haven't had the opportunity to talk to Grant, but I've heard some stories about Talladega, and I think we've all seen that Instagram clip where he absolutely buried his bike on the last lap. And again, I've not talked to Grant, so I don't want to repeat this without saying, secondhand information was he had said, I'd not taken that line all day long and was not pointed that line. He just kind of took that line on his own. That mental mistake ultimately seems like it may have been what cost him the overall 3 weeks ago at Talladega. But his racecraft is beyond reproach right now. I mean, he's riding so well, making good decisions. But right now, the rider pushing the pace is Ben Kelly, and Liam Draper matching him every step of the way, just his shadow around this Camp Coker racetrack.
So taking a look now at Liam Draper here from our Yamaha Racing Live drone. And there he is once again with the orange helmet. You can see.
And this is a big day for Draper. I don't, even if he finishes right where he is right now, this is a big turnaround in the 2025 season for Liam Draper, and he needed it as well after repeated impressive performances at the tail end of the season. Kind of left us with some question marks to start the year off. This is what we were expecting out of the 198.
There's a lot of chatter in the offseason. Liam Draper, 4 consecutive XC1 podiums, and all but one of those, I believe, was overall podiums as well. To close out 2024, then we fast forward to 2025, no points scored at round 1, and then a 6th overall at round 2, and a 9th overall at round 3. So I think Liam Draper's obviously done something these last 3 weeks, whether it's testing, mental, something that he's back to the Liam Draper that we saw at the end of 2024.
So watching and waiting once again here at the 11-mile marker. There is Grant Davis. Still up on the pegs, charging. Not quite so hard to judge what's a full attack with these riders, because to attack for essentially an entire additional lap is much easier said than done.
Calculated attack at this point. This track is just... I mean, it will punish you so quickly. I mean, you can see these guys are very careful when they're entering into those lines. They know the square edge. They know that this ground surface is just so unpredictable that they're pushing, but they can't go full-out sprint mode. You don't see the front wheel off the ground, roof spraying. It's just a kind of a steady throttle application and keeping the momentum flowing. And you can see, oh, wow. 56 seconds is the gap that Ben Kelly has been able to now open up on Grant Davis. Guys, that is physically. So on time correction, we're talking 4 or 5 seconds Grant Davis may still have to the good. So it looks like Ben Kelly and Liam Draper have been able to pull back another 10 seconds. 14 seconds they pulled back last lap. About another 10 this lap. So guys, with the white flag waving here in a matter of just a few minutes or a few seconds, we are going to see a absolute battle this final lap, both physically on the racetrack and that time correction.
Man, racing against each other and racing against the clock as well. Here we go, just a couple of switchbacks. And Ben Kelly will check in and take the white flag.
Ooh, little bobble there from Kelly. And that just goes to show just how uncertain this race surface is right now. Pushing the front end a little bit. You can see him reaching up. There is the Camelback hose going in, taking a drink. Interesting, because I would assume we're probably going to see him grab a bottle here, but maybe with the white flag waving, he's just going to say, nope, no bottle. I'm going for it. Maybe this is where we see that all-out sprint for one lap from Ben Kelly and Liam Draper taking a look ahead there and saying, nope, you're not getting away. I'm going with you.
So it all comes down to this. Draper picking his way through lap traffic. Ben Kelly just ahead.
There's the bottle handoff. Mom got it again. Nailed it. And there's Nikki, Liam's wife, taking a bottle as well. So there you see, that's the gap. We don't need a stopwatch for that one. They can see each other.
And there's Grant Davis on screen. Once again, that official split between row 1 and row 2 is 1 minute and 1 second.
So that would make that about 5 seconds.
Yep.
We won't need to guess here in 3, 2, 1, and
Grant Davis still has it.
With an elapsed time of 2 hours, 30 minutes, 5 seconds. So it's actually 8 seconds he has over Ben Kelly, because Ben Kelly, 2 hours, 30 minutes, 13 seconds. So 8 seconds, they were able to pull back about 8 seconds that lap, because it was 16 seconds last lap.
So it is on going into this final lap. Seeing Grant taking a bottle now.
Grit. That's what we're seeing. Oh, wow. Almost getting into those easy ups. That is full push mode from Grant Davis. He wants this overall badly.
Now your two leaders from the XC1 class back on screen.
Man, look at the rear end of Ben Kelly dancing all over the place, using those edges of the track, trying to find a little bit of smooth real estate or maybe even less chatter. You can see just how hard the wheels are getting kicked underneath it, and even Grant Davis right there wasn't anticipating that square edge bump and almost took a left right into that rig.
So you notice the Ampro mechanic there had the pit board out. He showed it to Ben Kelly as well. I'm guessing that is the gap to Grant Davis. Hey, they're letting both those guys know, because yes, they're battling, but they want them to keep the pace up. Liam Draper taking an inside line here. Will it pay off? Oh, look at that. Almost right to the rear wheel of Ben Kelly. That line proving to be faster for Draper and almost able to make a pass there. This is getting exciting, boys.
And this might have been the exact section that Ben Kelly was able to make the pass on Draper, taking a couple of different lines. So Liam Draper starting to do a bit of exploring here.
Kelly still able to maintain that gap, though.
Yeah, good response from Ben Kelly.
Lapped riders know there is something coming. They can just sense it. The ground is shaking. They hear those big motorcycles just revved out, and you can see them just riding off the side of the track, getting out of the way and saying, hey, I'm happy to get lapped by you guys, because that means one last lap around this track for me. Here we are at the FMF PowerPoint. Ben Kelly leading the way. Liam Draper right behind, and this is definitely a faster pace than we've seen the last couple laps. These two now are coming down to a mano-a-mano battle in this final lap of racing over this XC1 win, and looking like they're starting to continue to pull some time back on Grant Davis, but Grant Davis still having 8 seconds in the bank. What is it? House money?
House money. That's it. Got time to spare. Don't forget, as Stu Baylor checks in as well, we believe he's going to have to pit again, so that could change some things for Stu Baylor here on this final lap.
Now we have also Ricky Russell, Mike Witkowski have also checked in. Looks like Cody Barnes and Gus Reardon have checked in as well. So our top 7 overall have checked in. Actually, Ricky Russell has not checked in.
So it sounds like Davis might have been able to close the gap back up a little bit. So a response from Grant Davis.
2 different lines here through the Pines. Liam switching kind of back over. Liam in a middle line between what were 2 lines for the ATV and inside and outside. Liam's got a hybrid line where he's kind of hopping back and forth between them.
So they get far over to the right-hand side of the track. Ben never even sat down, I don't think, in that corner. That was incredible to see.
Look at the beating these guys are taking right now.
Still just exploding out of those corners.
Ooh, that was, it almost looked like he wanted to get to that inside line. The front end started pushing, and sometimes you got to be adaptable to what the track is going to give you. Now Liam switching back to the original line through these chicanes here. Ben Kelly going with that inside out, squaring things off. Liam Draper rolling those outsides and keeping his momentum up. There's more than one way to skin a cat here today.
There's Baylor on screen now.
So we do believe he did have to pit again for fuel. Not looking like, with him being, Stu was 1 minute 41 seconds behind Liam Draper. So what last lap was right around a minute has grown by about 40 seconds. Baylor just not able to match the pace of the lead duo, and also Grant Davis. He was almost to Grant Davis about a lap and a half ago. Almost had gotten back to the rear wheel. Probably looking to use him as a marker, use him as a tow, like Grant said he does so often to Stu, but it did not work out this time, at least not for now. Stu Baylor has not been able to latch on to Grant Davis, and now Grant Davis picking up the pace.
So watching and waiting on this final lap of racing.
We refresh, and now Josh Toth has checked in, Caleb Russell has checked in, Jason Tino has checked in, Ricky Russell has dropped from the top 10. Something happened to the Triumph rider out of Duval, Washington, falling outside the top 10 after what was a masterful couple laps there, working his way up through the pack. We won't push the panic button just yet. We could be a case of a transponder not working, but we've also not seen him on screen just yet. We'll see if one of these camera shots were able to get a view back through our top 10 physically as they come by the cameras.
And Ricky has checked in. He's in the number 11 spot on the overall. So
yep, Josh Strang has also checked in. So Strang putting in a push here late. Evan Smith and Craig DeLong have also checked in as well from that XC1 class.
I believe that was Gus Reardon, and yep, there it is. You know it's Gus when Cody's right behind him. Cody Barnes still chasing after Gus Reardon. 1, 2, and 3 in this XC2 class. Here at the FMF PowerPoint, a matter of seconds between Grant Davis and Ben Kelly. Throw Liam Draper right in the middle of them as well.
Like we talked about a few laps ago, boys, I don't think this is one we're going to be able to call when they cross the finish line. We're going to have to wait when our leader physically crosses the finish line. He may win XC1, whether it be Liam Draper or Ben Kelly, but we're going to have to wait until Grant Davis crosses the finish line. This one going to be too close to call, I do believe. There is Caleb Russell on screen. Oh, it does still have that right hand guard. Moving up a couple of positions, now up into that 9th place overall position as he gets around Ricky Russell. Josh Toth has gotten by Caleb on corrected time, the 2:06 machine. 4th place now in that XC2 class. Leader on screen.
So Ben Kelly up on the pegs, working his way through. There goes Liam Draper. Still chasing after him.
Now we take a look back to see if we can catch Grant Davis here at the mile 4 mark.
And you can see, Johnny, just like you were talking about, that dust just hanging. Like it's not swirling around.
We had some wind earlier, but the wind is gone, so the dust is just hanging there in the woods, making it harder for these guys to pick their line, making it harder for them to see. And also, you got to remember, they're breathing that dust in as well. It kind of just builds up in your lungs. And look at this, Grant Davis, that's a full push pace, riding the rear wheel through that section of racetrack there. We've seen a bunch of those guys taking that far outside line to try to find smoother running room. Not Grant Davis. Right up the middle, just charging through the bumps, charging through the whoops on the rear wheel, trying to claw back that time to get a little bit of insurance. 8 seconds was his lead on corrected time when the white flag waved just a few moments ago.
And it sounds like potentially it closed that gap up the last time we got our report from our spotter, Hollywood. So we'll have to wait and see. Definitely does not look like, if anything, Grant Davis is lying down and giving this win up.
No, he's definitely fighting for it. And we look back, Gus Reardon sitting back there, what was about 55 seconds a couple laps ago. Now 2 minutes 29 seconds back for your second place rider in that XC2 class, still maintaining that 5th place overall. And Cody Barnes still back there, only 3.1 seconds behind. That's really been a battle that just we've seen it in XC1 with Ben Kelly and Liam Draper kind of been glued together, and likewise in that XC2 class over the second place position. It's just been you can't even say a battle. It's just been, they've just been following each other so close together this entire time. Stu Baylor on screen, Zach.
Yeah, you got to think the XC2 guys. We talked to Gus Reardon at the start of this season and at the tail end of the last two, and he's come up just short of that championship. Man, he's going to be scratching the head a little bit after an impressive performance from Grant Davis like this. A couple of minutes back to second place in the XC2 class. The rest of the field, XC1 and XC2, going to have to figure some way out to match the pace of the 922 of Grant Davis. Here is that awesome feature showing you the lap times of the last lap. So once again, Grant Davis, a 30-minute, 7-second lap time, a little bit faster for Ben Kelly and Liam Draper as well. Draper actually showing a faster lap time than Ben Kelly on the previous lap. The only riders in that 29-minute range. It's going to come down to the wire, Johnny. I don't think these guys are going to let up maybe a second or two on this final lap. This is going to be a nail-biter all the way to the finish.
Yeah, we're going to have to just watch the splits and wait for the official scoring and the time correction to come in to be able to call the win on this one. But this is an all-out effort. These guys are absolutely scraping the bottom for every last little bit of determination and energy that they have left. This one, again, going to go the full duration of 3 hours plus here today, and it's going to take everything these guys have just to get it to the finish line.
So continuing to watch and wait here at the finish line. White flag waving here for round 4.
Jason Tino checked in that number 5 spot in that XC2 class. Brody Johnson checking in 6th place in that XC2 class. And then now our top AMs checking in. JoJo Cunningham, 16th overall, leading the way in that 258 class with a 1 minute 6 second gap over Lane Whitmer in the number 2 spot. And also Chase Landers checking in 1 minute 49 seconds behind Lane Whitmer. So that is your top 3 overall. And now Hunter Smith and Hunter Smith also checking in. So you've got 4 riders in the top 20 overall out of that top amateur 258 class.
Yeah, an impressive performance from all of those riders. Landers, like we said, getting up on that podium for the first time at our last round. The confidence that comes along with that, we can't stress enough as far as knowing you belong up there. So we'll wait to see. Of course, we do celebrate our top overall amateurs as well on the podium after this. And it wasn't long ago we were talking to the Nick DeFeos, the Grant Davises, Jason Tino. We talked to him a ton last year and moving up into that XC2 class. And just like we talked about the jump from XC2 into XC1, all of a sudden these amateur kids, they're jumping up and they're right in the mix as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, on those mud races, a lot of factors come into play there. We've seen those guys actually get up into the top 5 overall. Kind of more where we're seeing them today is more what is we would call normal. Not that they're not going incredibly fast, but without those other factors, it seems like the XC1 and XC2 guys just able to hold a little more pace. And there is the battle for the lead. Ben Kelly comes by. Liam Draper still chasing. I mean, we don't need a stopwatch for that one. No. It's their wheel-to-wheel.
Love to see it late in the race. Those two, Ben Kelly, Liam Draper, leading the way out in front. And now we look through the dust to South Carolina for Grant Davis.
Looked like it was about 43.05 when Ben Kelly came by. We'd have to go back. I kind of looked up a little late. We'll see if maybe we can get a replay on that, but I'm estimating it to be around 43.05. So 44.05 would kind of be that draw even point. We're hearing from out on the track that Ben Kelly and Liam Draper have been able to wrestle that overall lead on corrected time unofficially away from Grant Davis. And again, I believe we were at 43.05 when they came by. So now we're counting down the final seconds, and we also have a time on it.
There he is. That's close. That's close from where we're sitting. Sounds like maybe Hollywood had the shot on that, perhaps.
We're waiting. 1:08.16 is what we were told. 1 minute, 8 seconds, 0.16.
Oh, boy.
1:01 is the difference on time correction. So 7 seconds would be the physical lead, or I'm sorry, the time correction lead for Ben Kelly. For the first time today, we have someone other than an XC2 or someone other than Grant Davis, at least in the unofficial overall. Ben Kelly looking like he's done enough as of right now at the 5-mile marker, but still 7 miles of racing remaining between these guys and the finish line.
A lot can happen between now and then, as we both know, Johnny. And it's interesting, though, Grant Davis, I think this kid is, I don't know, should we still call him a kid? This grown man is going to be in the conversation every week. There is Stu Baylor, the 514.
Third place in XC1 and fourth place when they checked in at the completion of lap number 5. But he is still charging, still trying to get ever closer to the rider in front of him with Grant Davis. He's got a good gap, but he also knows he's got some other XC2 guys back there with Gus Reardon and Cody Barnes not too far behind him. He wants those overall points.
Yes, he does. Well, we are getting down to the nitty-gritty. Going to have one more short commercial break, and we'll be right back in just a moment. Right now, it is Ben Kelly leading the way. Liam Draper in that number 2 spot. Grant Davis, who has enjoyed the lead all race long on adjusted time, falls back at least a spot. We'll see how it all sorts out right after this commercial break here on Racer TV.
Unleash aggression, reliability, and premium quality with Kenda tires, delivering exceptional performance on all types of vehicles: automotive, ATVs, UTVs, motorcycles, bicycles, trailers, lawn and garden, and even golf. Trust Kenda tires to guide you on your next adventure. Kenda, designed for your journey.
Born of family values and a homegrown work ethic, Cometic Gasket seals your machine so you can focus on the finish line. Cometic Gaskets are the competitive standard for racers who demand the very best inside their engine. Cometic Gaskets are always constructed from superior materials designed to perform in the most demanding environments. Whether it's a championship on the line or a day in the dirt with friends, professionals and enthusiasts alike depend on Cometic. Cometic Gasket, sealing championships since 1989.
Progressive GNCC Racing is brought to you by Progressive. Progressive could save you hundreds of dollars on your automobile and motorcycle insurance. Specialized E-Turbo bicycles. It's you, only faster. RockyMountainATVMC.com. Get ready. Welcome back to GNCC Live here on RacerTV.com. We've got a barn burner here at the Camp Coker GNCC. It's been a good one. We're 4 rounds into the season, and coming into today, it was take anybody you want out of the top 10, and they have a shot at a title. That's realistically how close it's been. But Johnny Gallagher, today as we exit, I think this season going to start to take shape as far as,
No, that was just an aggressive corner.
Holy smokes, Liam pushing it. But things are going to start to take shape here after round number 4 here today. And I think the man most likely in the driver's seat of that, looking like it's going to be Ben Kelly, but a lot yet to be sorted out. It is him and Draper out in front, dueling for the overall lead. Grant Davis lurking, who has had the overall lead for most of this race, except for this very end. Kind of reminiscent, different situation, but reminiscent of Talladega just a few weeks ago.
Yeah, absolutely. And Grant Davis is fighting not only for the overall win here today, but to maintain the overall points lead with only a 3-point gap on Ben Kelly coming into the weekend. If Ben Kelly's able to get this win today, right now Grant Davis at a 7-second gap, that would put him behind Liam Draper, meaning 3rd overall. So that would be a 9-point swing for Ben Kelly, meaning he would then have a 6-point lead in the overall. So things may be restored to, I don't know, man. That didn't seem like a minute there.
No, it sure doesn't.
I think Grant Davis might be on a charge. He may have closed that gap back down some. We're going to get the official word from OPAG and the team out in the woods there. They're running the times. They got the abacus out, and they are going to give us a gap here.
So right now, Ben Kelly, your physical leader, trying to hang on, getting late in this one. It'll be 6 laps completed, probably going to be just over 3 hours as well. We may get a few seconds or maybe a few minutes of bonus racing here today.
2 hours, 26 minutes for me this morning. That was 26 minutes of bonus time I wasn't looking for. I spent the entire third lap looking behind me saying, please let the WXC leaders or Sportsman A Rider lap me. I do not want to do another lap on this course. And I'm sure a lot of these guys, while they are racing for the win, are thinking to themselves, I would have been fine with a 5-lap race, but it would have been short. So they made the right call. This one going to go the full duration, 3 hours plus here today. And it's been a battle the entire way. Still waiting on that gap, and we are told...
Don't know, really.
1 minute 4. So now it's down to 3 seconds that that Ben Kelly is holding over Grant Davis. Man, it was 8 seconds. It was 7 seconds that he had. Now it's 3. So Grant Davis been able to pull 4 seconds back. And you know those pit boards are just about on fire right there. Yeah. As they're just writing the times, writing the gaps, telling them, nope, you need to go more. You don't have enough. Give it everything you got. Push it all the way to the finish line.
And we know from the past, sometimes those. The pit boards embellish a little bit just to make sure your rider knows, hey, the urgency needs to be there. Ben Kelly, a former champion in the XC1 and XC2 class, he's certainly capable.
Yeah, and I think this is from both Ben, or not both, all three, Ben, Liam, and Grant. This is a full push. At this point, I don't think if you gave Ben Kelly a pit board that said you've got 20 seconds on Grant, he's not going to let up because Liam Draper is right back there pushing him. Both of those guys are still, whether they're battling for the overall lead, they won't know that until Grant Davis finishes, but they know they're battling for the physical lead and the XC1 win, and that's what these guys are fighting for right now.
It'll be fun to watch. This is going to be a barn burner down to the wire, and you got to think if it is Ben Kelly rolling through first, Liam Draper just behind him as we move to that finish line camera shot. Ricky Towery standing by with a few fans. But nonetheless, we're not going to know until Grant checks in what this top 3 is going to look like. Will it stay the same, Kelly, Draper, Davis, or will it mix up from there?
And we will still see them again at the 9.
Oh, good
and then
point.
We'll have the drone all the way to the finish, I do believe. So we'll get to see this battle unfold. And just like that, here they come from the drone, approaching the 9-mile marker. That is Ben Kelly going into the trees on the right. Liam Draper trying to chase him down. They're on the little mini supercross track. Ben Kelly manualing, doubling, trying to get every little fraction of a second out of it. And Liam Draper just still trying to stay close enough to be able to make a move here in the final miles of racing.
Love this shot right here. Ben Kelly out in front, Draper in the 2 spot. Not too far back enough for these guys to sit first and second. OA is Grant Davis lurking. But Ben Kelly in the driver's seat out in front, still continuing to push. Pretty obvious Ben Kelly knows needs to maintain that gap, if not pick up a few extra seconds anywhere he can.
Well, and surely he can still hear that Ampro Yamaha 450 of Liam Draper behind him, so he knows he hasn't opened up enough of a...
There he
okay,
is.
just a couple bike lengths there. I thought the same thing you did for a moment. Didn't know if maybe Liam had made a mistake, but Ben just maybe having a little better line through that section, carrying a little more speed, opening it up just a few bike lengths. But we've seen this so many times over the last 4 laps. Every time Ben Kelly puts in a push, Liam Draper seemingly able to answer the call and get back to the rear wheel. Lapped riders coming into play. 1 minute, 7 seconds, we're told, is what the gap is. So now, 6 seconds, it seems that Ben Kelly has, and that would mean that Liam Draper would be in the number 2 spot. So, man, this one is going to be close all the way to the finish.
However it shakes down at this point, Johnny, between the 3 of them, I think they're all going to have a lot to think about over the next couple of weeks before round number 5 at the Old Gray in Tennessee of the potential to win this. I mean, if you're Ben and you hang on and win it, awesome. You got one less thing to worry about. But if you're Draper or Grant Davis in this situation, if you end up in that 2 and 3 spot, man, just how close you were to getting that OA.
And I don't know that we've talked about a whole lot. In the past we have, but today, you know, the journey that Ben Kelly's been on since winning that championship.
I thought about that earlier
in 2021, and then coming back, winning the first 6 races in 2022. He's actually been in the mix for the championship since then. You know, 2 years ago, he was in the mix for the championship right down to the finish in 2023. That would have been. But then after that 2023 season, finding out he still had complications and unhealed injuries or improperly healed injuries causing issues with his hip, undergoing some surgeries and getting himself healthy, coming back at the tail end of the last season. A lot of people saying, okay, well, Ben Kelly's going to go right back to winning. He just took him a little while to ride into it, but what we're seeing right now is vintage, full strength Ben Kelly.
That's it. I mean, I thought about that earlier in the episode, just the journey he's had coming back from injury and a gnarly, serious leg injury, and kind of, I don't know if he should say reluctant to take as much time away from racing, but you could tell it kind of affected Ben a little bit to be away from racing that long.
Well, sure.
And it's paying off now. Like, I mean, obviously he needed that.
He was so dominant at the beginning of 2022. There was just a lot of questions in 2023, like, what is different with this guy? I mean, he was still in the mix for the championship, but he just wasn't at the front as much as we were accustomed to seeing him, seemingly just not having that little bit extra that it takes to battle for wins. Was still had some podiums, was still in the mix, won a few races, but everybody's like, what happened to the dominant Ben Kelly from 2022? We've talked about this before. The pace and the race does not sit idle while you're out injured or away, so everybody started going faster. But again, to me, today, this looks like maybe not the full, run away and leave everybody Ben Kelly we saw early in 2022, but it's just been a solid, on-point, masterful performance, and he's looked really strong all day long. I think we're seeing Ben Kelly ride back into form.
He certainly is. Putting it on display on the Yamaha Racing live drone right there, has gotten out of the same camera shot as Liam Draper, as Liam looks to have maybe settled into that 2 spot.
And this could also...
That's a pretty good gap. That may open it up for Grant.
Exactly. Because that's more than 6 seconds now that Liam Draper has fallen back behind Ben Kelly. So now we're looking at, will Grant Davis end up... Look at this. A mistake for Liam Draper. I think we're seeing fatigue set in or desperation. He's just not able to keep Ben in sight like he has been these last couple laps. You can see Ben Kelly just inching away. Liam Draper struggling, but he's still giving it everything he's got, trying to get back to the rear wheel of Ben Kelly. This one far from over, but you can see how much the gap has opened up here. And again, another misline, and Liam Draper goes down.
Liam just trying to get himself to the finish line right now. Somebody get that man
he is
water.
He is up and rolling, but I think what we're seeing is fatigue, maybe frustration. A great ride from him here today, but I think that may prove to be enough to allow Grant Davis to work his way into that number 2 spot. If not, he still has a chance at the overall as well, but that gap has definitely opened up a good bit now. I think we're looking at a 10-plus second gap between Ben Kelly and Liam Draper. And we'll see on screen here.
There he is.
Ben Kelly working his way through there. 2:57.48. He kind of disappeared out of the camera shot, so it's actually going to be more than 10 seconds.
There is Liam, the 198.
So about, looking like about 17 seconds. That opened up quickly.
Yeah, it did.
Less than a minute ago, he was still within sight of Ben Kelly. We saw 2 mistakes. We saw him clip that tree and couldn't tell if he went down or just got stuck between those trees. Missing lines. You know, it's starting to come unraveled, but still a great performance for Liam Draper if he's able to get this one to the finish line in that number 2 spot in XC1 and on the overall podium, which he has a comfortable gap. Depending on where Grant Davis slots in, he still has a very big gap. Last lap, 1 minute 41 seconds over Stu Baylor. So, you know, with just less than a mile of racetrack remaining, he solidly should be able to bring this home in a podium position.
See how this shakes down as far as that overall is concerned. Ben Kelly in control, out in front, still pushing the pace, knows he's got to finish with a good enough time gap in front of Grant Davis to hang on for the win. A much-needed win for Ben Kelly and his program, and there is Grant Davis.
1 minute 16, we're told, is what the gap is. So now that's it's going to be close even for Liam Draper because he was 17 seconds behind Ben Kelly. So he's going to need not more than just, you know, a couple fractions of a section one way or another to hang out of that 2. Okay, so and now we're saying 1 minute 18 seconds possibly it's opening up. So Ben Kelly really just kind of outmatching his competitors right now. He's able to pull away from Liam Draper physically and also able to open up that gap, looking like he has as much as possibly a 17-second lead on Grant Davis on the time correction. Still, folks, we will not be able to declare the overall winner on this one. Even though he's just got about 4 corners remaining, we're going to probably have to wait until Grant Davis crosses the finish line to call the overall winner. But starting to look like Ben Kelly may have done enough, Mikey.
Still got some racetrack left, albeit not a lot. And Ben looking good. Very, very good here late. And we believe Ben Kelly, the 5-3-0, who is your points leader of the XC1.
And this would be to take over the overall points lead.
Got the reverse plate for the XC1, and if this stands as he takes the win for the XC1 and what we expect to be the win in the overall, we will have to wait until Grant Davis goes through the finish line to make it official. And you got to think Ben Kelly is going to sit there, lean that bike against a tree. There's a man who left it all out on the track. Ben Kelly. There is Liam Draper coming through. Going to finish, and he looks tuckered, exhausted. The 198 AM Pro Yamaha of Liam Draper going to hang on for second place for the moment.
19 seconds, the margin of victory for Ben Kelly. You can see they're pouring water, trying to cool him down. 3 hours and 23 seconds is how long this one went. It's supposed to be a 3-hour race. GNCC track crew nailed it.
Pretty good. Jared Bolton, Ryan Eccles, good job, boys. Set up a good one here today. Ben.
And Liam Draper already with the helmet off.
Get those boots off.
They're going to share a tree and tell some war stories. And here comes Grant Davis, guys. He is down. Not down, but he is down to the final couple corners. Shouldn't have paused there, my bad. He is down to the final couple corners, and this will be the tail of tape. Still pushing, trying to squeeze every second he can. Maybe still hoping against hope, but we think that Ben Kelly has done enough. Will it be an overall victory? Will it be second overall, or will it be third overall for Grant Davis? We know at this point it will be an XC2 victory, and we wait, we watch. The transponder will score here, and
drum roll. Checks in. Grant Davis.
Grant Davis, third overall. He
go.
drops 2 positions on that final lap of racing with an elapsed time of 3 hours and 55 seconds. So Liam Draper edging him out by almost exactly 10 seconds, and Ben Kelly grabbing the win by about what would be 23 seconds overall over Liam Draper.
And
Grant Davis, that was a hero's performance, trying to grab that win, but just not able to match the pace on that final lap of racing with Ben Kelly and Liam Draper. An overall podium still, nonetheless.
Yeah, I mean, just incredible. This was one for the ages right here. Grant Davis riding very, very well, leaving it all out on the track.
Not often you see these guys this exhausted. This is like Florida stuff.
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
So that will mean, if things stand the way they look on paper right now, that will mean that Ben Kelly will have a 6-point overall lead going into round number 5 here in 2 weeks in Tennessee. Grant Davis will be in the second place spot in the overall points and will obviously still be the points leader in that XC2 Pro Lights class.
Absolutely impressive stuff by that young man. Going to hang on for a first place in the XC2. There is Stu Baylor checking in, so Stu will take third in the XC1, fourth in the OA. How far back is Angus Reardon, though?
2 minutes, 24 seconds is the gap from Liam Draper back to Stu Baylor. We will have to wait. Gus was 2 minutes, 28 behind Grant Davis last lap. He would really need to put a push pace in. Looking at a lap's time, yeah, he's really gonna have to push, but it is still possible. He could wrestle that 4th place position overall away from Stu Baylor, but I think Stu Baylor has done enough to get that 4th place overall, matching his 3rd in XC1 here today.
Be interesting to get their perspective. I got to think those guys still getting themselves somewhat rehydrated.
We can't even say Gus Reardon because Cody Barnes still
very good point.
Right there, he was only 3.1 seconds behind, and we may get a shot of that battle coming to the finish line because it should be crossing. We see the Racer TV cameras tuned in on something there. Is it the battle for second place in XC2? It is. Look at that, wheel to wheel.
Wow.
Gus Reardon takes second and Cody Barnes third. As we refresh in the overall, those two slot into 5th and 6th overall, so Stu Baylor does hang on to that 4th place position. But what a battle right down to the wire between those two.
It's good. We'll take it. Love to see it. Getting those post-race interviews set up. Good to hear from Ben Kelly, who will be your points leader in the overall as we leave here today and head over to Tennessee for the Old Gray GNCC in just a few weeks, couple of weeks.
Mikey, what a race today.
That was awesome, man. That was
we had battles all over the track.
I mean, it was pick a spot. I mean, and yeah, legitimately, you go back through 10th place and there was guys wheel to wheel throughout that one and a lot at stake. And, you know, you can't say enough about Grant Davis. Grant, just knowing what he expects out of himself this season and into last season, maybe, I don't know if disappointment's the right word, but this is 2 races in a row now where Grant has to look back and say, I led that thing until the last lap.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I see
it's hard
that.
to pick on that at all, but with the goals he set for himself,
is that almost looks like, I may be wrong, I don't know what. So yes, no, Mike Witkowski has checked in that 7th place overall, and Caleb Russell checked in 13 seconds behind Mike Witkowski, making up about 40 seconds on that last lap of racing. But Witkowski holding on to 7th place overall, which would be 4th in XC1. Caleb Russell 5th in XC1 and 8th overall as it stands. But Josh Toth still may be close enough to Caleb Russell. Is that Toth checking in now? Not yet. We'll be waiting and watching for the 206 of Toth.
And while we wait on Josh Toth to check in, I believe we have got Zach Heron standing by with our overall winner here today, Ben Kelly.
All right, thanks, guys. Yeah, we're all popping a squat here at the victory tree, I guess. Your overall winner, Ben Kelly, man, I heard you say just a minute ago, that is one of the hardest you have had to race in years out there. Non-stop fight, not only physically against Liam Draper, but against the clock with Grant Davis as well. Just take us through it.
Yeah, I had like a mid-pack start, but I was sick of just like my first few rides. I was like just not aggressive enough, so I just risked it there in the beginning. I was aggressive. I got by a few guys, you know, got into, I think, 3rd behind Caleb, and I had to fight to get by him. Finally did it, and eventually ran down Liam, but man, he was riding so fast, and I made the pass on him, and I think like 2 laps to go, 2.5 to go or something, and yeah, I felt really good. Like I kind of pulled a little bit, but next thing you know, he was on me, and dude, he was just on my rear wheel like 2 seconds the whole rest of the race, it felt like, and I was going as fast as I could, and so tired out there, so tired, but just kept pushing, and man, that super tight section out there, he was way better than me. Like, I was trying, and I kind of would try to save my energy there, but because like if I was pushing, he would still catch me. It was like no matter whether I tried or tried to save energy, it was the same pace. So that last lap, I kind of like sat down there and saved my energy a little, and he caught right to my rear wheel, and I was a little bit better that second half of the track. Like, I would kind of nickel and dime him through some of those like flowy stuff. I would just stand up and pump the bike like a mountain bike and push, kept getting pit boards. That Grant Davis was, 15 seconds ahead of us, corrected time, then 12, then 8, then 20, I just kept hammering, and I mean, Liam is like pushed me to the finish. Like, if I didn't have Liam right there pushing me, Grant might have got us, It's tough when you don't have someone on you, but dude, I had him on me the whole time. I had to be perfect, and yeah, luckily I did it. Got this win. I needed it. It rewards you to win so much out here, so I freaking needed it. Yeah, pumped.
And that's what I was going to ask. The physical battle, sometimes when you guys are racing the clock as well, battling with somebody on track can slow you down, but you feel like the battle between yourself and Liam actually sped you guys up and arguably took 1 and 2 in the overall because of that.
I think so. This track is very one line kind of because of how rough it gets. So like we open it up and we all end up taking the same lines, finding the smooth stuff and just getting traction to the ground. And so I knew like as long as I stayed perfect and didn't make any mistakes, Liam couldn't pass me, kind of like how Dante and Johnny battled last year. So I just did the best I could, and I was so tired, but I know if I'm tired, they're tired. So just kept hammering it, and man, hats off to him and Grant, man. Grant's been killing it. He beats my butt he kills me every day we practice, so to get him on the race, it's all that matters, and pumped to get the overall and the points lead.
Hey, yeah, I was about to say, in that first round, you said you were just off the overall podium. You said, don't worry, I'll come back, I'll bring it to the XC2. You got the upper hand on this one.
Yeah, but it's one of those things where, when you have those tracks that you're really good at, you got to capitalize and get the win there, because then there are other tracks where other guys have the upper hand on you, and like Florida's one of those rounds I kind of feel like, that's a good one for me, and getting third, I was kind of upset with myself, but is what it is, and I got the win here, and we'll just keep working, keep battling, and keep trying to get more wins, consistent finishes.
Hey, well, you made it fun to watch. Your overall winner, Ben Kelly, out of the XC1 class.
Well, congratulations to Ben Kelly. In his own words, Johnny, that was one of the toughest races, the hardest he's had to work at one of these in a number of years, and we have seen him absolutely lethargic after some races down in Florida, so that really says a lot to what this race took to win today.
Yeah, I mean, it says a lot about this track, says a lot about the competition. A guy like Ben Kelly, whose fitness you can almost never question, saying, man, I was so tired, I just couldn't let up. Liam was right there pushing. I knew Grant was there. I kept getting the pit board, so he just kept having to dig, and man, what a race.
That was good, man. Now we want to hear from the 198 Am Pro Yamaha ride, and I believe Jackson Burrell standing by with Liam Draper.
Yeah, guys, I'm here with Liam Draper. Liam, second overall today. It looks like you and that Am Pro Yamaha back to true form. Take us through your race.
Yeah, I got off to a good start when I think I was third leaving. Got into second quickly, and then got my way into the lead, and was just feeling really good. The bike was amazing. I pulled a lead and got it out to about 25-30 seconds, end of lap 2, I think it was, and then I got a pit board BK coming. I'm like, man, this is it's going to be a tough race if BK's coming, because I know the guy's in good shape, and he's going to be tough. But yeah, the one side he was crushing me, and then I was getting him back in the woods, and it was a dogfight all the way to the end. But just super stoked to be back on the podium. It's been a couple tough rounds, but super happy.
Hey, speaking of that, Liam, is there any changes that occurred coming into round 4?
No real changes. Just Zach Osborne gave me a little bit of an ass chewing this week, and I think it paid out.
It sure did. It paid off, guys. That's Liam Draper, your second place.
There you go. Congratulations to Liam snagging a second place in the 08. Getting some words of encouragement from Zacho right there. I like it.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I think this is definitely what we saw at the end of 2024 out of Liam Draper. He kind of picked up. You can't say he picked up where he left off, but the first 3 rounds didn't seem to be representative of where he was at the end of 24. Today, I think definitely was.
Yeah, certainly putting on a show. And sounds like, I believe Jackson Burrell standing by with the winner of the XC2 and your third in the OA, Grant Davis.
Yeah, guys, I'm here with the person that everybody's been talking about, Grant Davis. Grant, third place overall, first in the XC2 class. Take us through your race.
Yeah, it was a good race. I got off to a third place start, and then got into the lead like 4 turns after that, and then I just really tried to pin it to get to them XC1 guys, got to the back markers, and started picking them off slowly by slowly, and got into third overall physically on track. And I could see Liam and Ben in some sections on the track, and I knew it was like 30, 40 seconds probably. And then last lap I clipped the tree and broke my zip tie off my front brake, like the hand guard, and it kept pulling in on me and it would crash me. I crashed 3 times last lap, but other than that, I'm happy with how I rode, and Ben and Liam were on it today. I'll give it to them.
Grant, man, you're flying. Are you comfortable with the speeds that you were going out there?
Yeah, absolutely. I know I want a 350 now. I need a bigger bike.
All right, how you feel going in the next race in Tennessee?
I'm ready to go. I really like the rocks, and I won it last year, so let's keep this streak going. I got 3 in a row right now, and let's keep it going.
All right, guys, that's Grant Davis.
Confident Grant Davis right there, boys.
No, he talks about the streak. He's got 3 XC2 wins in a row coming into our next round in Tennessee, and wanted to keep the streak alive. You know, and a lot of respect between those guys. He said, hey, Ben and Liam were just on it today. Thought I had them until I didn't, but sounds like a little issue with connecting with the tree. And what he's talking about there is they run a strap around the handguard that attaches to the brake line, and if that strap or zip tie gets broken, the handguard, every time they hit a tree, will come in and push the front brake lever in and lock up the front wheel. So that's what he was talking about. So you think you're just brushing a tree, no big deal. Next thing you know, your front wheel locks up, and you go for a ride. So sure, that was a little bit scary for him, but it sounds like he continued to push through and try to make the most of it.
I believe we are standing by. I want to get an interview with our third-place finisher out of that XC1 class, Stu Baylor. He may have rode off. It looked like he may have, but couldn't quite see there through all of the fans and everybody down there at the finish. I think that's
still a solid points day for Stu.
Yes,
I mean, the way the season started off for him, it was looking pretty dire straits. But then able to get those big points there in Talladega, moving him up to 9th place in the overall, and today with the 4th overall, that'd be 18 points. So a pretty good day for him.
And it sounds like we are ready. Our guy standing by with Stu Baylor.
Hey, thanks, guys. Yeah, Zach Herron here inside the SOS medical tent alongside Stu Baylor. Man, we say you guys give 100%. You might give 110 because all of you guys almost immediately collapsed after the race. Take us through how you're feeling. You said you were feeling a little bit better now that you've gotten 10-2 from Doc Tanner. Man, just take us through that race. That was a brawl.
Yeah, that was rough. Just flamed my bike out on the start there, and that was tough. The same thing kind of happened to me this past year here. It's weird. It really wasn't as dry as you would expect given the weather here, but man, that gap opened up quick. I think on lap 1 it was 40 seconds, and I was just trying way too hard to get to the front, and we did the typical pit strategy that I like to do whenever I see a group in front of me, and I tried to make it work, but at that point, I've been sick all week. I've been absolutely smoked, and did what we could. But when I put that effort in there on lap 3, I got to the point I just physically couldn't ride anymore. Like I got by Johnny and Caleb there, and then I was like losing vision and short of breath. And at one point, I was like, I don't even know if I'm going to finish. And all I knew was I had to go 100%, and I was just waiting. I saw that 2-lap card come out, and I was like, oh, my God, 2 more of these things. So, but, man, it was brutal. It was good. The track, I love this place, but, man, Cam Coker and I just don't get along. To be the hometown guy, having a lot of time spent in these sands in South Carolina, you'd think this would be a place that would treat me well, but the reason this place just doesn't like me. I love it, but it does not like me.
Well, Stu, you still got a podium finish, man.
I'll take the podium. Yeah, definitely. It was hard fought, man. I dug everything I had, but it wasn't where I wanted to be. I just kind of felt like I was trail riding all day, and I just couldn't give the effort. The time that I did there on lap 3, it just smoked me so bad that we basically ended up needing to make a pit stop after the race. Luckily, Dr. Tanner and the SOS guys are here and able to keep us athletes doing what we've got to do. It's a long 3 hours and a long season. So thanks to these guys. Hats off to all my sponsors, the whole Rocky Mountain Red Bear Kawasaki team, all of the companies that are behind us, my wife, my family, everybody that put so much into this, the whole GNCC crew. Thank you guys.
These guys give it all. Stu Baylor, podium finish in XC1.
Well, congratulations to Stu, getting an IV right there. Shout out to Dr. Tanner and Safety on Site SOS being here at the GNCC. Wow, I'm out of breath, Johnny. I feel like we changed announcers 45 times throughout the day just because it was so much. And we're going to take a look at it, get the highlights, the specialized race recap. Is this a shot Is this a shot where Grant, or did you guys see Griff picking up the tire and moving it back in place? That was, we should have gotten a highlight of that, my God. But no, that was good. But boy, great day. Finally, our pro bike race, not a mutter, Johnny.
No, and quick off the start there, quick on the trigger. Craig DeLong grabbing the XC1 pole shot.
Seconds, Junior B, 25 plus, Hunter Pedro, Briley.
Russell, Stad Duvall, but Liam Draper making quick moves, getting to the lead, and as he pointed out, pulling a little bit of a gap on lap 1. Caleb Russell was in that number 2 spot early, and then Ben Kelly applying pressure, saying he had to really work to get around Caleb Russell. Once he did, he was able to get to the lead, got around Liam Draper, but he was still trying to chase down that man on corrected time right there, Grant Davis, and this was a heartbreaker for Johnny Girard. We're told, maybe hitting his head and opting out of the rest of the day. Big disappointment for Johnny here today, but man, what a battle we saw for this overall lead, both physically between Ben Kelly and Liam Draper, and then Grant Davis on corrected time. You can see these guys just pushing for everything they're worth.
Yeah, absolutely. Grant Davis, 2 races in a row where he led the majority of the race and just being bested on that last lap. Kelly just absolutely not being denied today. We talked about it briefly, Johnny, of him coming back from injury. There he is taking the checkered flag, which would be the overall win as well. And just kind of looking like the Ben Kelly that won a national championship here today and opened up the next season with 6 wins in a row.
Yeah, definitely back on form, riding his way into it, but you can't undermine the effort that Liam Draper put in for that second place overall, and also Grant Davis leaving everything out on the track today. These guys crossing the finish line, immediately collapsing, needing to be cooled down, needing to take on fluids. They gave it everything they had.
They did. Rodney?
I think the best thing to describe what I've witnessed over the last couple of days while being back at the GNCC is next level. I am just amazed. Yesterday's ATV race was just next level. Yeah. But what we've witnessed here today, with the conditions, be it the course, be it the heat, a combination of all that, but the effort that was put in by all these riders out here today. I mean, I've always seen a lot of great effort by riders, but I don't know. It just seems like everyone found something more out there, and I think it was evident whenever you seen riders like, you had Caleb Russell and Ben Kelly and those guys battling out at the first of the race, and you got these guys in the back of the pack that you don't expect, and Thad Duvall up there for a little while. And I mean, they just kept, they kept making their bid, so to speak, but, and Grant just, wow. And what you saw at the end of the race was all those riders when they came off the track, and they all just basically spilled off the motorcycle and sat down on the ground. I mean, that was a big effort, and that was a next level effort today.
That's it. Johnny, big takeaway from today.
Sneaky rough, man.
Sneaky rough.
The track, I think, was the big competitor today. These guys all laid it out on the line, but it's been a long time since we've seen this many athletes at this level of preparation, this depleted. Obviously, hats off to everybody who even finished this race.
Absolutely.
But I think we'd be remiss not to mention that Ben Kelly looking like he's back on form, and this is, not boding well for the rest of the competition because he's gaining confidence. But, man, Liam Draper making a scene here today was pretty impressive to watch.
Rodney, big takeaway.
I'm impressed with Liam. Really, I mean, that's one of the big takeaways. That and the fact that the youth of the GNCC are really starting to rise, and we're starting to see them. Obviously, we've seen it through the first now 5 rounds of racing. It's just mind-boggling as to, again, what level they're able to take this to. And I mean, they're pushing these front guys to another level even,
I'm going to upset everybody in the comments, and I'm going to talk about Caleb Russell. I think Caleb Russell, we look at the wins here in years past. We highlighted that before the race. It was Caleb. Caleb was always that guy that had the sprint speed. As soon as Ricky threw the flag, he had it for 3 hours. Caleb, you retired. And then every single guy from XC2 to XC1 said, I'm going to be that guy. So sprint speed just became the norm. I think that's having an effect on what we're seeing here last season and into this year with the XC2 battling with the XC1. That's just my 2 cents. Johnny, I want you to weigh in on that next race. Roast me, tell me I'm completely wrong or off, but it just seems like maybe Caleb is at fault for that.
You know, that's sometimes you create your own worst enemies when you set the bar that high. And man, it was good racing action today from start to finish, all the way through. Already getting text messages, people saying they couldn't get away from the coverage the last 90 minutes. It was just such a battle, and we were happy to bring it all to you live here today.
Well, we've got more GNCC coming up, next month, I guess. This is we're getting down to the nitty-gritty here of March. So in April, check out round number 5, the Old Gray, a new track to us. We're going to hope the weather's beautiful there. We had quite the rain last year, but nonetheless, hey, we're heading back. The Old Gray there in Tennessee. And then we've got the Bagger Racing League, round number 1 and number 2 coming up on the 26th and 27th of April. So be sure to tune in to Racer TV for all your live racing coverage. On behalf of Jackson Burrows, Zach Herron, Johnny Gallagher, you got on the ticker there today, Rodney. Rodney Tomlin, camera operators, Matt, Josh, Adam, Leah, Kirsten, Jack, Cameron, and Adam. Our drone pilot, Gabe Scholl, manager, Dan Reinhardt, engineer in charge, Jordan McFadden, our director, Don Hampton, our producer, Adam Gordon, OPAG, and our executive producer, Carrie Jo Russell. I'm Mikey Waynes, and you've been watching GNCC on RacerTV.com.